Hey everyone, Sawmill Charlie. Well, another Friday night bee chat here. I want to say hi to Mike and um, Randy. And hey, Ian, glad you could make it in. I know you've been pretty darn busy in the bee yard and on the farm combining and stuff. And hey, Roy, Keith, what's happening? And so hopefully everybody's bees are doing well. Hey, Russell and myself. This weekend, I'll be pulling the Formic Pro strips out and getting ready to feed starting next week sometime. As soon as I make up a couple batches of sugar water, get my feeding tank in the back of my truck, start so I can pump it off and all that. And I'm going to put some, I'm going to try the Appy tablets out this for the fall. Put them in there as soon as I take the Formic out and put the hives back together. Also, I'm gonna try to make a video here right before I put the appies in and do some mite checks, see where I'm at with my mites, and something I don't do a whole lot of, and all that. Well, let me get the invite up and see if we can get everybody to come on in. And there it is, guys. Hey, James, good to see you. Haven't seen any videos lately. Hopefully that instruction line that you bought is up and running and you're doing well with that and all. It looks like we're going to have a good night tonight. Hopefully. The thing is, we need some people to come on in and keep me company. Yeah, I bet you are, James, quite busy with everything. All right, Russell, what if I get a high mic count when what am I going to do? Well, with my treatment program, I've already done Aprivar for 6 weeks. I did 2 weeks of Formic Pro, and then I'm going to check, and then what I do through the winter time is hit them with oxalic acid vapor at least once or twice a month, all the way through February. So that should clean up the hives and suppress the mite load and stuff like that, Russell. I think I'll have some pretty good low mite loads. I mean, that's the name of the game today, is not to let your mite count get high to begin with. It in order just keep it in check and keep it low continually, and that way your bees will be more healthier and everything of that nature. And so that's my game plan there and all that. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing. Hey, Matt, good to see you. And all up there in Pennsylvania there. If I ran 10 or 20 mites, I'd have to do some OA, and oxalic acid vapor would basically knock the mites down. Hey, Catherine. And I've had that problem one other time. I had a nuke and I hit it with OA, and there was a ton of mites that came out of that one hive, and the rest of them are pretty good. Took me 3 treatments to kind of get that hive under control when it came to mites and everything, and it didn't die. I caught it, but my main thing is I kind of, like, people ask me how much, how I treat about 8 months out of the year with something. I'm doing something, in mite to try to keep the mite load down and all. And I find it OA is a good wintertime mite treatment. Hey, Shane. And all that. And then I find that the Apivar is pretty good. I had the bee inspector here. I had said a while back, a couple of days, several weeks ago. Then I guess it's been about 3 weeks, and we did see some mites. And it was right at the end of the Apivar treatment. So she wanted to know whether I was going to come behind it with something else, and I said, yeah, it was Formic Pro. Say, Rodney. And so anyway, that's what I'm going to do. That's my program I've been using for several years. It seems to be quite effective. And now I did have some problems here this springtime, but checking with all my friends up in Canada, the professionals, and everybody here on the chat, I had Old Queens. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Hope you're feeling good. And hey, Russell. So hopefully, fresh queens in the hive will. I definitely know that they definitely makes a difference when it comes to honey production. They pulled a. I kind of feel like I pulled a rabbit out of my hat when it came to producing the amount of honey I got. And this year, because of the fact that I had half of my hives didn't make it through the winter as far as honey production hives. And I had poor queens that did make it through. Requeened everything, and I still made over 1,000 pounds of honey, and that's pretty good for me. And especially when it was about, I don't know, a quarter of a way into the honey flow, and the queens really did the job. I had frames and frames of brood as soon as they got the new ones got in there, and what a great turnaround. So if anybody wants to come in, I'm running out of things to talk about, and all. Yeah, Shane. I mean, that's what I had this spring, where the queen was laying drones everywhere throughout the hive. Hardly any worker bee kept brood and stuff, and that was a big eye opener for me. And to understand what you're looking at in the hive, and understanding to replace your queens for me every 2 years. Hey, Jack and Danette. Happy Friday. Yep. So, anyway, how many do we have? Oh, we got 42. Okay. So, that is what's happening here on the home front. I have been downsizing here a little bit. Hey, Joseph, hope everything's going well with you. I did see your video. Seems to be you kind of dodged the big storm down there and didn't tear you up too bad. And there's Brad from Baby Apiary. Good to see him. Haven't seen him for a while. And all. So it looks like to me, Joseph, that you hardly got what that one tree was damaged, and that was it. That was cool. And all that. I know that Tim and Hannah didn't have too much problem. Mike Barry, he had one tree blow over in his area there, but other than that, he really didn't have too much of a problem either. So everybody down in the south that comes on the chat here, it seems to. I haven't heard nothing from the Cajun Homestead, Brad. See whether or not. All right, that's great, Brad. He got his second round of formic acid on all his hives today. That's cool, and of course, that is for Brad is a totally new product when it comes to his treating. Usually it was just Apivar. He's changing gears and using formic formic acid, I'll say. So hopefully that'll work for Brad and keep the mites down and have 175 hives come through the winter. And all. All right, he's using Durlock pads and formic acid, which is legal up in Canada. And here's Mr. Todd. Thanks for coming in, Todd. I know it's early for you.
No, it's quitting time, but I got out early, so I'm the boss there on Fridays. Usually, I'm the only boss there on Fridays, so I kind of shut the shop down a little early. Fought the traffic and came home. So
yeah, I'm sure that there's plenty of traffic out there, like everywhere else.
It's crazy. Yeah. So, what's the latest and greatest?
Well, not a whole lot. Like say here, hopefully tomorrow or Sunday, I will be pulling Formic Pro off.
Yeah.
And I want to do some videos on, do some mite checks, random, in possibly my 10 framers and also my nukes.
Yep.
And get that done. I don't do a whole lot of those. I'll be honest about that. I just kind of treat and let it go at that. But I do the National Honey Bee Survey I participated in here about 3 weeks ago. So those results will probably take 3 or 4 months to get here. And that'll also tell me whether I have viruses and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I believe it's kind of like what Ian was talking about in his video with the tech something. I forget what it is.
Transfer tech or tech transfer.
Yeah. Tech transfer. I think it's something similar to that.
Yeah. It sounds like it. Wait, did you see the comment I made on that video? I said
no. I didn't. I was watching it just before to come on the show, and I didn't get to read or do it. I didn't really finish the video out.
I commented at the end. I said, "Was that 5 minutes of solid thunder, or did an airport move in next door to you recently?" I mean, it never stopped rumbling. It just kept going.
Yeah, I heard that in the background. I was like, what is that? Is that something running in the background? And finally, I thought he was talking about the storm. It came and went.
It did, but must have just left because it was sounded like it was fresh. And,
he was saying, Ian says it's solid thunder.
Oh, there. Yep. See? Yeah. No.
But
that was funny.
Yeah.
I've got nothing. I don't really have anything going on except feeding. And so let me tell you the dilemma I've seen the last couple of days. So I started feeding last week and I'm going to feed tomorrow. But this time of year, there's a plant called blue curl. I know you've heard me talk about it. It's basically
I have some of that honey you gave me. That's some nice honey.
Yeah, thanks. It's basically golden. It's the West Coast version of goldenrod. So it's the last nectar source of the year for the bees. Well, it comes out of the ground in July, and then it hangs around. It'll hang around till the first frost, like Halloween. And this year, the second week of July, that's when we got hit with that massive heat wave. It was 110 every day for like 12 days. And I had the comb melt in a couple of my pallets, and drowned some bee. I found some bees that were stuck to the bottom boards when I lifted them up to clean them out. But anyway, with all of that heat, it dried all the moisture up in the ground, and those plants pushed out. They pushed out the plant, and they pushed out the stems, but the buds didn't come out. Well, the buds came out, but they didn't bloom. They didn't push anything. So most of the plants that I saw were maybe maybe 30% bloom. And I thought, oh, great, that's it. It's over, you know. And this was what, 2 weeks ago. So I got my sugar going and mixed it up, plopped it on there, and wouldn't you know it, we started cooling down, and those damn plants are blooming now. I'm like, son of a beehive. I just can't catch a break sometimes.
Well,
but you know, it is what it is.
They'll mix it.
Oh yeah, they will. And what was funny was it has a smell. It has it smells like camphor. So when you open a lid,
I found it to taste really sweet. It's as sweet as what I get.
yeah, it's you know, some people say it tastes like caramel. Some people say it's too sweet for a darker amber colored honey. But you know, hey,
It tastes like locust to me.
But when you open the lids, when they're collecting it, you smell this camphor. Like, do you remember the old Campho-Phenique when you were a kid? Yeah, that's exactly.
You can still use it.
That's what it smells like. So right before it started getting really hot, I opened some lids and I could smell a whiff of it. I thought, oh, okay, it's coming on. And then it just shut down. And it shut down for, what is it, September 13th, and it probably started at the beginning of the week. So it basically shut down for 2 months. And now all of a sudden the plant wants to push buds again. And I'm like, you don't have very much time here. You know, you've got maybe 4 weeks and that's it. So,
well, have you ever get any rain out there? I don't think you have you?
No, it's just that I think, you know, there at night, there's a certain amount of humidity. And I think that somehow the stems will grab that humidity and take it down, and then they'll be able to produce nectar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not a botanist, but it's just very, very weird. This year has been extremely challenging, you know, with playing with ants and the heat and melting hives and the wax moth issue. You name it, I've had it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So
I don't know. It yeah, things are slowing down quite a bit here. I mean, I'm in my fall treatment program. Hey there, Dirt Rooster, what's happening? Randy? I don't know. Like I say, I have a program that I do and it seems to work for me.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. And where I do my Formic Pro, I'm wondering whether or not Apitabs should have been with the Formic, or not the Formic Pro, with the Apivar, and then do Formic Pro. But I'm going to go ahead and put the Apitabs on and let them go through the winter. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they'll eat them. Hopefully things will work well with them. Not sure whether
go ahead. Go ahead.
Not sure whether I should take a few hives and only do Apitabs to run them through the winter, and not do any OA with them. You know, whether that's going to work well or not, whether the Apitabs work better with more heat, you know, where they might off gas better.
Yeah. You know? I'm not sure about that. I mean, there's still, you know, we're still playing with them to see what works best. In a couple of weeks, I'll be on Apitabs for one entire year. I haven't traded with anything else.
Now, Brad's putting them on when he started with Formic treatments.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the dosing, there might be some tweaks to the dosing. I'm kind of playing with dosing instead of doing it, you know, in the spring and the fall. I think what I'm going to do next year, and the recommended label, the label for, you know, for the supplement treatment is 1 tablet in the spring per brood box and 2 in the fall. I might play around with 1 in the spring, 2 in the summer, like in June, late June, and then 1 in the fall, or I might go 1, 2, and 2. I don't know yet, but
are you working for the Weather Channel?
Nope. That's the program we have at work.
And you got the picture with the thunderstorms in the back.
Oh, no. I thought you meant the blue, like
Yeah.
Weather
Now
Channel.
Brad's saying it's more so the consumption of it, how it works. And we'll see.
Yeah, definitely dearth. So anybody that wants to try it, you have to remember that if you have a dearth where they have no other alternative to take anything except that tablet, that's when it works best. If you put it on, and like in my case, if I put it on 2 weeks ago and this blue curl started up, they'll still nibble at it, but they're more interested in getting the real thing. And then if you feed and then put the tablet in there, they're mainly going to go for the feed. And then when that's done, they'll switch over to the tablet. They might do a little bit of the tablet here and there, but you have to remember that if you give the bees options, first is nectar, second is the syrup, and then third would be the Apitabs. So if you keep that in mind and plan things out and look forward and use them, you shouldn't have a problem with them.
Right. Well, that's what Brad was saying here about, it works best in the dearth
Mm-hmm.
and all that. And then we got Matt and Sandy here. Glad to see him. Or Matt at Sandy Valley Farms. And comes Rodney. Anyway, Matt says that they just wrapped up their OA treatments, and now they're going to put the appies on through the fall.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
So anyway, what's happening with you, Rodney? What's up?
Well, we had the edge of that hurricane. Just the rain came through last night and this morning. We got a little over an inch of rain, so that'll be good for the goldenrod. It's just starting to bloom out a little bit, so that should help that.
Mm-hmm. What state are you in?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay.
I'm 90 miles north of Bob.
Oh, okay.
I'm right up next to the North Carolina border.
Okay. So you got some rain out of that?
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, because I mean, the ground had plenty of moisture, but this extra little bit right before the bloom can't hurt,
Yeah. Hey, Sandy. Yeah, we're dry up here now. Tomorrow, I think I got to bale some hay, and it'll be the last field that we do. And it's been foggy or dampish, overcast, I think, from this storm, the cloud cover in the mornings. And my son tedded it out today to kind of I'm pretty sure it's super thin. So I'm hoping to get everything, a couple wagon loads and be done with that and done for the year when it comes to that kind of stuff. So but when it comes to being the ground, we're rock hard. We haven't had any really measurable rain in the last month or two. I mean, we had some to kind of green things up a little bit, but it's like tomorrow morning I had to get up and I got a guy where I've taken a load of firewood and you're backing down the driveway on blacktop. And then you hit the sort of stonish type ground. It's still, if it's wet, it's a mud hole. And wants me to get down in there and drop it, in a spot. And I'm like, we're going to get in here before the darn rains start to hit, and get you done. So that's the first thing on the list tomorrow morning and all that. So anyway.
You were talking about treatments. I subscribed to that Aussie Mike bees or whatever down in Australia, and they've just now got the Varroa. And I told him, I said, it's a rough journey to get them to where they can kind of take care of themselves with the least amount of help as possible.
Yeah.
But he says they're killing their hives within 6 months.
Yeah.
They're hitting them so hard because the bees don't know what to do with them. Whereas I guess ours have learned a little bit over the years. They come in the late 80s.
Yeah, I mean, we've been at it for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And it's changed. When I started beekeeping, all you could have 12 or so mites in a wash and you're just fine, you know.
Hmm.
And then as the years have passed, it's 12, then it's 10, then it's 9, then it's 8, and down and down and down, you know, to where now it's like, you only need about 1 mite, 2 mites, you know, now 3 mites is where you're at.
Yeah. 3 with alcohol, 1 with powdered sugar, right?
When I started, it was all powdered sugar stuff, you know. But our knowledge base has changed so much. So since Sammy Ramsey came out and disproved the fact that they were eating the hemoglobin of the blood and where it's the fat bodies, that seemed to put the science community completely on the right road path. And then they started getting more positive results as far as in their experimentations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and you know, and that's where we're at with that, all that kind of stuff. But now the problem with Australia is it's all new to them. And it's like, I don't know whether their government is about as slow as everybody else's government about trying to say it's okay to use this product and this, you know, there's products out here across the world.
Right.
Can we use these products in our country, i.e. Australia? You know, can you use Apricard? All right, Apricard can't be, I don't think it's used up in Canada, but you could buy Formic Pro in the raw and use meat pads legally and apply it that way. Or as we can't do that, but we can buy high-priced Formic Pro to do it that way. So, you know, now they just approved the extended release oxalic acid, which is no more than what Randy Oliver's been working on for the last 20 years. And, you know, he didn't get nothing out of it as far as I can tell financially, you know, for him to really work on it.
Right.
And,
They're doing the heat method now, the heating of the hive. That's what they're experimenting with now. Because they're trying to do it with no chemicals. But you know, it's going to come to a point, you know, like when they first started this, I told him, I says, y'all can try to kill everything out there, but you're not going to stop it once it's there. Because I've seen it in yellow jackets, I've seen it in hornets, I've seen it in other things besides honeybees. I've seen it on bumblebees. You know, I've seen it other places. So, I mean, they can eradicate all the honeybees they want, but they still aren't going to get it once it's there.
yeah, you know, they had that machine here in the States, and it takes so much time to do it that way.
Right.
And
you know, I think the only way is like what Rodney's kind of saying, naturally. And it's hard to look at, but you know, the Apis cerana in Asia, that's, nobody was taking care of those bees in the forest, and they finally evolved where they were able to handle whatever the mites threw at them. So, you know, that might be the answer. But we can't do that here. In Australia, they still have a chance to do something like that.
Right.
But it's been too long here. Could you imagine every beekeeper just letting them go and seeing what happens? You know, you can't. Yeah, you won't find enough. You won't find everybody doing that. You know, so
Yeah, there's that island of Malta or something around Greece where the bees they live with the mites. They've learned to deal with them. They don't treat them at all there. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
well, that's in another country. I mean, that's over in Australia, but that's a different bee. It's not the same as our.
It's a lot smaller little bee from what I've seen. They're a lot smaller than ours.
Yeah.
But you know, they learned how to live with them and evolved around them.
Yeah, but how many thousand years did it take to do that? You know,
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
What were the losses up to get to that point was probably tremendous.
yeah. I mean, I've had some science folks that I've listened to where they say that basically the whole, what would you say, giant or generation of bee. All them bees would have more or less have to die almost in order for that to happen
Right.
and all that stuff. But I don't know. We know formic and oxalic acid are all considered organics.
Right. And they do a fairly good job. I mean, they keep them in check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's it just, it depends on the beekeeper and how well are you on the mark every time, when it needs to be done and that kind of stuff.
Right. And keep your hives strong, keep them healthy. That's the big thing. When they get weak, it just inundates them. They sit them at the small hive beetles are just run rampant when the hives start failing. That same thing happens here. But we look for that. This is all new to them, and it's a lot for them to digest over there.
Now here's one.
Yeah, I saw that. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a bunch of legislation going through Pennsylvania right now where
Wow.
they are modernizing their laws. I mean, they do have where the Pennsylvania beekeepers have to pay per hive or per apiary if you're a commercial beekeeper.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's a bunch of other things. I know that if you want to sell your honey, you got to have a honey house. You got to have, Carl can tell you about that and stuff like that. 2 bee brats. And that's starting
to get serious. So they would actually have to have a bee police in Pennsylvania. And I don't know how in the world they can regulate that, because if it says if you're not treating for mites, you get a penalty. Well, how are they going to prove that? How can you prove that you treated with oxalic acid 3 days later? Maybe there's some residue around that they could pick up, but for the most part, you can't tell. That's going to be interesting. Unless they say you have to use, certain forms like Apivar or Formic Pro, where they could see the pads or the strips.
I don't know where it's. There's like the bee inspectors here. The only reason time they ever come is when I call them.
I don't have one
because we don't have to pay per hive. They don't have the funding. It's a problem. Now, Matt here was surprised to buy the cost of Formic Pro to treat his hives. Let's say it made that bag of OA from Florida Labs, I guess, a lot cheaper. Well, it is, Matt. But something, I used to treat. I think he was also talking about where he got done treating his hives. I think every 4 days, 5 times or something like that. My question to that is, who's going to administer that? Yeah, I don't know, Ian. The Pennsylvania
agency.
Pennsylvania Bee Supply. It's the agriculture department up there in Pennsylvania. I do know that. I belong to one of the Pennsylvania beekeeping clubs. But I was looking back here. They were treating. Can't find it now. But anyway, you have a bee inspector in California, Todd?
No, I don't. The state. Well, I don't know. You ask some people, they say no. You ask others, they say yes. I don't know. I know there's not one in the county. So,
Nancy can get us straight, hopefully.
A little bit. So there was I'm hoping there's other people from Pennsylvania on here. I'm sure there is. Daryl, maybe, but they proposed legislation that was combined with the plants. Like it was bees and pollinating plants. So they're regulating 2 things. So some of the language gets a little confusing because we're just thinking as beekeepers, but this includes nurseries and people that deal with plants. But the bee law didn't specifically say treating for mites. It talks about pests. So not only mites in beekeeping, but also pests that come with the not agriculture, but the selling and buying of plants. So we have inspectors here already, and we register our hives so that if anything does go awry, we're contacted. And I have my bee inspector twice a year because I like a second opinion on my yard. But it hasn't been passed. There's no meat on the bones of this law. So it's just up in the air. It's all just talk right now.
And Unlikely Beekeeper says something about, did you read that there where
it's a feral colony inside a house, or a structure. What do you do? What if you don't move?
What was the comments? Or what did
feral colony that exists inside a house or structure, the homeowner will face penalty. I'm like,
no, that's just absurd. That's absurd. It's not. Talking about commercial beekeepers, mostly backyard beekeepers, like hobbyists, not a, like a feral colony in a tree or a house.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. So they just go after commercial guys.
Yeah. On the other
the commercial guys are already doing. The commercial guys are already doing what they need to do because it's their business. It's their livelihood. They're doing what they need to do. You don't see commercial guys running, treatment free. But again, this is plants as well. But so yeah, the bill's probably designed to get after some folks, which I think maybe needs to happen. My opinion.
What were you explaining to the other chat tonight about? I guess it was your hive configuration, what it was?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying something new. Box number 1 is a medium, and then box number 2 is a deep. I'm in southeast Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia. But so I'm having a hard. She's not moving down. She's staying at the top of the deep, and I'm just concerned that they're not going to have enough stores. I'm feeding, but I'm just concerned that they're not going to move her down to get more feed on them, to get more winter resources for them. So that's all. I was talking about that.
Right. Now I know one other my member in my club. He does a deep and a medium, where that medium stays to that hive all the time, and it turns into a brood chamber. And then he shakes all the bees down, puts a queen excluder in, and I'll say puts a honey super on and maybe puts that box up on top. Of course, the bees come up, cover the brood up, all hatches out, and it fills up with honey. And then that honey, he doesn't extract it, he just puts it right back on that hive. And he was saying he keeps that queen excluder on there until, I'll say, December or something like that, then pulls the queen excluder out so the bees can get up to that honey and stuff like that. So, but
well, yeah, I was keeping the medium on top like that, but for my overwinter configuration. But with the deep on top, it's so much easier to do an inspection. I mean, you're pulling 2 frames and you're seeing pretty much, what's going on. And then that medium at the bottom there kind of helps with swarm prevention too, when that time comes. But I just thought, I run screen bottoms. I thought, what happens if I put in the whiteboard, my IPM board? Will that pull her down? Will they push her down then when it's not lit up from the screen bottom board? Lit up or,
I don't know. I mean, I usually, when it gets around 40 degrees and stays at 40 or below, I put the IPM on board to keep the darn air from going up into the hives, that cold air and stuff. And then as soon as it gets, let's say, I don't know, 45 degrees or something in the springtime, all that stuff comes, and it's kind of constant and not too cold at night. I pull all that out and all. That's what I do. I don't know. She's going to do what as far as the brood goes. I think I don't know. They're going to push the brood down, or it's going to go up in the top boxes most of the time. But I did find 2 years ago with Apis Biologic putting it in there, it was brood from top to bottom. And I'm running 3 medium boxes, and it was brood in every one of them boxes all the way down to the floor. And there was, bees were boiling over. Now, prior to using that product, like you say, it's either the 2 top boxes where everything's at and the bottom box is totally empty, that kind of a thing. Or
I had good thoughts on the Apis Biologics. I mean, I had good intentions, but what hung me up was the measurement. I got this powder, and then I needed X amount. I was running 5-gallon buckets at the time for feed. I just could never kind of get the groove of it. So I've been Hive Alive ever since. Before that, and then since then, because it's just easier. It's just more user friendly, I guess. But I'm not saying it. I'm not. Yeah,
I have to agree with you there. I mean, I forget what his first name, Andy Munn or something like that. Andrew. I mean, he's been told to. He's got and he's got to have better directions as far as I'll say.
He has to have the imperial measurements. But I mean, it's out there now. It's 1/8 of a teaspoon per gallon. So a gallon of feed.
I mean, yeah, I'm not doing 5-gallon buckets anymore. I got that godforsaken tank from the expo, but that's 25 gallons. So I probably could, but I've been in the groove with Hive Alive now. So I mean, it works for me, and it's kind of like, why change now, sort of thing. I mean, I don't mean to be like that, but
yeah, it's fine. Whatever you like.
Hey, whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you. That's the way beekeeping goes. Depends on where you live at and what works for you.
Yeah.
Well, what's not working. What's not working is the feeder tank. Poor Charlie. Oh man, I'll tell you what. I want to just set the thing on fire. But
does it pump okay with? I mean, as far as just pumping, like say straight water, real good.
Yes.
Or does it have a problem pumping?
No, it worked. It worked okay. It worked okay with pumping straight water. Then I went 1-to-1, and it was it's terrible. It's just, it's a mess. But
no,
I
got that diaphragm pump on that one of mine from Tractor Supply. The only problem I have with it, if that pump sits around a little bit, that diaphragm will get coated with sugar. You got to tear that end off of that pump and wash it up with some soap and water, and then it works wonderfully. And that's one of the things I'll be doing here. Probably is get that pump out, and I'll wash it up, and so it'll be rocking ready to go from the get go. But I know she bought that cart from out there at Nobby, and it's from Cowan, and sound like to me they just kind of threw something together. And then,
well, we got to give them a little more credit. There were some things that were thought out, but it was never thought out in using it the way it was designed to be used. Like, does that make sense?
Did they ever contact you and say, "Hey, do you have any feedback for us on this thing?"
No. And I didn't contact them either. I keep finding, like I just took off some of the stuff that was already on there, because when I'm feeding, like it came with Larabi, I have an Instavat. Well, I have a smoker, of course, I have a Hive tool, but there was things on that cart that I didn't need on there because I don't use when I'm feeding. So that, I already took things off of it, and I mean, there was some thought into the engineering.
A feeding cart and the pump won't pump
Right.
what needs to be pumped. And I don't.
Right.
You know how many gallons per minute the pump is, or?
Oh my gosh, it takes me a minute and a half to pump a gallon. Wow. Whatever that is. It takes forever. And the yellow jackets and the bees are flying. I mean, by the time if someone were to drive,
I'm wondering whether that thing's got a coating on the darn diaphragm, because it,
yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
And it's also battery operated, Todd. So
yeah.
Okay.
Probably a pump that doesn't like being operated or charged or powered by a battery too,
Well, it probably doesn't have
mine used to be powered off of a car battery. Then I wired it up right into the lighting system on the back of my pickup truck, for where the brake lights go, that hook up like little four prong thing. And we wired it up right to that. Boy, that's just turn your marker lights on. You got plenty of power, You don't have to worry about charging anything or anything like that. But I don't know.
I'm going to take the hoses off. I'm going to take the hoses off and clean them out first, and then see what I see, and take some more things apart. But I don't know.
That's like you sent me a picture. They have hose clamps, but it's like some kind of a crimping hose clamp where you can't, take a screwdriver and unloosen it and pull the darn thing off. It's like it's one and done type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like a CV axle.
How to share pictures.
What's that, Rod?
I have pictures.
Does it have the little pinch deal where it's pinched together, or?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Like they use on CV axles and stuff to band the rubber boots on.
They have to take some channel locks or big pliers or something to.
Right.
It's one of the things you got to break it, don't you?
Yeah. You have to cut it. They're stainless, and you have to either get them spread apart without damaging the hose, or just cut them. They should have used a constant tension clamp. The squeeze type clamps.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah. Now they crimp down, and it pinches them down, and it draws them up, and they're done. Mm-hmm. Almost like a PEX type crimp, similar. But yeah, sound like that. That sounds like the pumps. The pump's just not enough for what we're trying to use it for.
Like it's 1.5 GPM to me.
Yeah, no kidding. That's sad.
I got that. Mine's about that. Mine's only about a 1.5 gallon per minute.
Is it? But it doesn't take. Does it take that long to fill a gallon though?
No.
Yeah.
If I'm filling a nukes, which is like 3/4 of a gallon, a minute or two.
No.
And then you go down there with them, like the Man Lake Highs, where you put 2 gallons in one side of it. I only fill one side. And if that pump's running, if that's clean and in the diaphragm it's really going, a minute or so, or maybe a minute and a half at the most.
Maybe they just didn't put the right size pump on something like that. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I'm getting some messages from I don't know why they have 15,000 messages. I had a band mill up for sale, and he wants to buy it for a couple grand less than what I got it listed for. I'm like, I don't think so. It's already $2,000 or $3,000 less than what a brand new one costs, and it's twice the size. So anyway,
You'll keep using it for that.
well, we're done using it and all, but what it has, it's got 30 feet of track that you can it comes in 6-foot sections, and I got enough track you could do a 30-foot beam on it or a log or whatever. I have one guy out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is interested in it, but then he ran into some problems with his truck. He's got to get that fixed. But I don't know. I didn't have to. Here comes Jack. There he is.
What's up, Jack?
Hey,
What's
Jack.
happening? What's up? What's happening in New Jersey, Jack?
Happy Friday, guys. I tried to jump in a little. Shit,
You
hold
got
on.
your yeah. Turn that off.
There we go. I closed that window out. I forget all the time. So yeah, I tried to jump in like 2 minutes ago when Nancy was talking about the pumps. I got the same setup with the Tractor Supply, feeder. I think it's a 1.2 or 1.5 gallon per minute.
Yeah.
I started with a 15-gallon sprayer, then I went to a 25-gallon sprayer, and now I'm up to a 40-gallon sprayer. And I don't have any problems. Like you're saying, Charlie, I wash it off every time I'm done using it because it does. It leaks and it gets sugar. It gets syrup, probably in the diaphragm and stuff like that. And if Nancy's still listening, I think you're right. You're onto something. There's a problem with her pump because that system works great.
Yeah. Well, DC is it? Yes. Yeah, DC, you're right there. If it's too thick, yeah. And Nancy's listening. If it's too thick, I've had that problem. All right, I thought it was a bad pump. And I had my sugar water too thick. Now my sugar water, I call it 2-to-1, but it's a little bit less than 2-to-1.
Okay.
But it's close. And let's say I pump and I don't use that tank, and you can wash it out. I'm not going to. At the end of the year, yeah, I take water and fill it and wash it and let it pump all this clean water out.
Oh yeah.
And all that stuff. But like I was feeding one time where I fed for a while and then it sat for a while. Well, then that pump, it's got that sugar residue on that diaphragm in there, and all it is rubber. And it will not. It would trickle out of the darn hose, instead of really just coming out with force. And so I, pulled the end of it off, so many screws, took that diaphragm and the housing, and I just washed it with some soap and water. Put it all back together and worked great. It worked like it's supposed to work and all that kind of stuff. And the 1.5 gallon per minute pump is good enough for what I'm doing.
Yeah, it fills it up. It fills up pretty quick. You know what I do notice though is it bubbles, right? It gets a lot of air in the feeder, so you can't really fill it all the way to the top because it starts overflowing. Inside the hive, so you can't really fill it to the top of the feeder.
What, because of the air bubbles?
Yeah, I noticed. So what I did to get around that is I jammed the wand all the way to the bottom of the feeder, so it's filling from underneath the water level, and just raising the water level up instead of splashing the surface, and it eliminates any kind of bubbling or surface like that. Yeah, because when I'm feeding, I don't take the whole. I'm doing double deeps going into winter, right? So when I break the box apart to feed, I just slide it forward until the first hole, and I'm running the what are the black in-hive feeders, the mother load ones.
Yeah.
So I only uncover one of the holes toward the back of the hive. I slide the second box forward, and then just fill it up from there.
Yeah, fine.
But my hives are on a slant forward, so it's more full in the forward part than it is from the rear. So you can't fill it all the way to the top.
Right.
But it worked. I love that system. And I'm using a 50-gallon drum, with I bought a 2-horse pump with
For mixing.
with the PVC that goes around and mixes it. And yeah, I built one of those homemade mixers. And it works great. That's how I do it. This is not a how-to video. It's a how I do video.
Well, I do the same thing, except I cook mine with heat and make that sugar completely melt
Yeah.
into the water. And I don't have too much granulation settling out unless it's in the feeder and it's sat there for a long, long time. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure how well the pump that mixing. I think it does well after a while, doesn't it? Or is it still white looking in the water?
No, mine, I just set it out there and I run it because I'm filling it up off of my well, which I got a black hose, which is 100 feet long. So as soon as that hot water is gone in the hose from sitting out in the lawn all day, it's cold water again. And I just let it run for, I don't know, an hour maybe, but I don't care how long. I'm not feeding. I'm not mixing up the syrup and kneading it, a half an hour later. I'm giving myself a head start. So I don't care.
Well, with mine, because the sugar water, I got the darn water almost, I won't say boiling, but it's starting to steam.
Yeah.
Steam off the vapor, and I pour the sugar to it and I agitate it to where the water turns perfectly clear.
Yes. And my water is clear.
Of course, it's hot, and then that's when I turn the heat off and I'm done for the evening, and I got to let it sit till the next day.
Same.
I make a 40-gallon batch ahead of time, and then that's when after it's cooled down, that's when I pour in my Apitabs Biologic that I pre-mix in a blender and mix it and then put it in my tank.
Yes.
So my game plan for next week for starting feeding, before I put my top high feeders on, because you know how bees are, they like to go up and into the top high feeder and then get trapped in there.
Yes.
I'll have 80 gallons of sugar water mixed up, 40 gallons in the tank, 40 gallons in the mixing machine, and cooled, ready to roll. And that's when I'll put my feeders on and fill. As soon as I got them on there, I'll be filling them. And then, I tell people, when you first put the first dose of sugar water in there, they'll suck it down in, I'll say 4 to 6 hours, it seems like.
Yeah. Yep. I see the same thing.
And then I'll come right behind it as soon as I can and fill them up again.
I don't mix my Apis. So I'm mixing Apis and Hive Alive in my feedings, but I don't add that to the 50-gallon drum while it's mixing. I add it to the Tractor Supply sprayer after it's already in there, and I'll put that on the cycle. It's not going to the sprayer; it's bypassing and just cycling it in there, because I I had a big mistake. So when I first built my my cycler, I guess the 50-gallon drum mixer, I guess one of my PVC connections was weak, and I turned on the valve to flow out, so you start filling the tank up, and I had an explosion. The top blew off, and it was just sugar water, like a geyser. I got covered in sugar water, and I was very, 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 very thankful that I didn't add all that Apis and Hive Alive to the 50 gallons, because that would be a total waste.
Yeah,
it's expensive. Yeah, so I don't put it in the drum. I put it in the.
It's just like Brad from Faith Acres. He lost thousands of dollars where his piping blew off, and there's a tote full of sugar water gone. And that was a horrendous
Yes.
amount of money.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
And all that. You figure Apis, one big bag is $50 some in US.
Yeah.
You know, he lost, you know, if he had that in there, well, he lost $50 in additives, and then he lost the sugar water and, you know, all the gas and whatever it takes to mix.
I'm waiting for Hive Alive. They usually run a sale. They run a Black Friday sale, so I'm waiting for that again. And I found that they ran a Christmas in July sale too. So that's when I buy them. If nobody knows that.
What do you find, you know, what do you observe with Hive Alive, and what do they claim?
Well, the biggest thing that I found with Hive Alive is that if I can't feed my bees for 2 weeks, the sugar doesn't go bad, the syrup. So it stabilizes the sugar, and you don't get those ghosts in the syrup. You know what I mean, Charlie?
Yeah, it starts to deteriorate. I mean, I know what you're saying, but I'm like,
Starts to spoil,
Yeah, it
Or
starts to spoil.
whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
yeah, but I guess what you're saying is you're holding a 50-gallon batch in your mixer.
No. I only do like 15 gallons at a time. I don't need any more than that. 15 gallons. When I add the sugar, makes 25 gallons of syrup,
Right.
and I'm 25 gallons. I can get through all my hives. You know,
And when you say you can't get, you got 25 gallons mixed, but you couldn't get out there because of whatever, and that's when it's going bad on you. Usually,
yeah,
you know, I mean, it's cooler weather is here. It's not like in the middle of summertime when it'll spoil even faster.
correct. Yeah, and I noticed that Apis, it turns the syrup red.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting. I've never
Yeah.
had that happen.
Yeah.
Red, like
Red-
food
red-
coloring red.
like cedar water color.
Really?
I've
Yeah.
never seen that.
Yep.
Man, it's probably all those chemicals up there in New Jersey. That's what it is.
It might be the water here.
But you know, it might
That's
be.
why the wind blows so hard.
That's right.
And
it could be a-
Pennsylvania
it could be
to
a-
keep the stink over in New Jersey.
That's why we're like this, you know.
It might even be a reaction when you mix Apis and Hive Alive together too. Who knows?
You know what?
I'm trying to figure out why you would do that, because Apis mimics. Apis sets off a nectar type presence in the feed.
Okay.
So I don't know why you want to. I mean, you're just adding the Hive Life just for preservation, right? Not for any feeding ideas.
No, it's not just for preservation. It's for feeding also. Is my take on it. So,
how old? I mean, Hope says that there was a bad batch of Apis, but I don't know whether that was really a bad batch. I had Apis here that fresh Apis is real bright yellow, and the stuff that I had was kind of brownish looking. The bag had been open and exposed to the air.
my stuff's not
But
yellow.
I still used it, and it worked fine with me as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, same here.
Mine's not yellow. I mixed it in a
I mean, the powder was yellow as it's coming out of the bag.
No, it's not yellow.
What is it?
It's like brownish.
Kind of brownish red.
Yeah,
That's what mine is right now.
Yeah, so I mix it in a jar. So an empty honey jar, you know, like a 1 pound jar. I put a little bit of water in there, put the Apis in there, mix it up. You know, kind of like you're doing cornstarch to thicken gravy. You know, kind of the same idea. And then pour that in there.
Barron's got something here. You live in the Pine Barrens.
I do live in the Pine Barrens.
And your water is a tea-looking color water anyway.
It is pea looking, yeah.
Is that right? It ain't clear water.
No, it's clear. It's clear. but it turns red from the cedar trees. The cedar, you know, the cedar turns the water a red color. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. So Todd, do you think that it's a bad idea to mix
No. I mean, like, again, whatever works for you, do it. But I'm wondering, I just, the Apis mimics a nectar flow.
I mean, when I mix it, first thing is that I take a half a quart of water, put it in a blender,
Yeah.
put the Apis in, which is a tablespoon for me for 40 gallons.
Yeah.
Put that in there. I blend it for, let's say, 30 seconds to a minute. Pour it back into the quart jar.
Yeah.
I take it downstairs to my 40-gallon drum that's cooled down. Number one, I don't put it in there when it's hot. Pour it in there, and then I turn on the agitator on, and it agitates it. And, I don't see any color changes whatsoever. Now,
Yeah.
with sugar water, if you look at it, isn't white. It's clear. You can see the bottom of the drum, but it's got a tinge to it. I don't know how you would say. It's not brown. It's an off-colored clear water because it's got sugar in it.
Mine is yellowish or almost.
Yeah, there you go. It's kind of, sort of yellowish.
So,
I mean, with just sugar water in it, and then all that.
I'm going to be making a batch this weekend, so I'm going to remove the Hive Alive and see if it changes, and I'll post the color. And,
yeah, Dan says that Hive Alive has a lot of thymol in it.
Yeah, yep.
Which helps to regulate the bee gut and also does other stuff.
Yeah.
Thymol.
Yeah, and I wonder
what's an Apigard is thymol.
Yeah, it
Isn't
is.
that what it's in tablets is thymol.
Yeah.
So
it's the same. Yeah. Hive Alive is thymol. It's some seaweed.
All of them are thymol. Yeah.
And some other stuff. Yeah.
I've never used it, so I can't input on this conversation.
It's not cheap. It's definitely it's not cheap at all.
I've never had to use it.
That's why I only buy it when it's on sale.
Because here the bees fly all but maybe 2 weeks out of the year. If that, or less, because we have like a couple of cold weeks in the middle of January, and that's it. When it's down below where they can't fly. Even when it's down near freezing, if the sun comes out, and hits the hives in the fronts, they'll actually come out some then. But, we just don't have the days.
With that information, Rodney, so do you replace your queens every year to keep everything rolling?
No, I let my hives swarm to a point, so they replace their own, and it keeps them really healthy to let them do that. Because of course I'm here with them, so I can grab them, and put them in a box, and those are usually the queens that get superseded. But let the hive make their own new queen. I don't buy queens. I don't buy packages or anything. I do a lot of cutouts and stuff like that in North Carolina and South Carolina, where I get a lot of mixed genetics from everywhere, from feral colonies. Maybe that's why mine stays so healthy.
Yeah.
With very little treating, I'll treat if they need it, but other than that, I kind of let them do their thing.
There's your question for you, Jack.
Yeah, there we go. 50 gallons of sugar water at a time. You know what? Let me grab my Hive Alive. I got the recipe on the side of it.
They sent me a bottle of that stuff, and I think it was a whole bottle to do 50 gallons.
If I'm ever worried about sugar water going bad, I just, I measure out a little bleach. I put it in there and mix it in. It works fine.
Yeah, Fat Meat Man told that 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hate to run, but I got to go. I got to take care of the kids. And nice seeing you guys.
All right, Rodney. Thanks for stopping in tonight.
All right. Y'all take care.
All right. See
you. I'm back.
All
right. I buy this one, the big one, right?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Expensive.
And it's 2 teaspoons per gallon. So if you figure out that math, so that's 100 teaspoons, right? For 50 gallons.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I buy this. This is like $160 when it's on sale.
And how much will that do?
This will treat 200 hives.
Yeah, but how many gallons of fluid can you use?
Yeah, it's 63 fluid ounces.
Yeah, but does it tell you on there that the whole, you mix this with X amount of gallons?
If you put the whole thing in somewhere
It's
in a tub,
good for.
it's 2 teaspoons per gallon, and it doesn't say how much.
Why? I'm not about to go down that rabbit hole. How many teaspoons in a cup and all of that stuff?
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, it's like with Apis. It talks about what it says on the back of the package, but if you take the front of the package where it says this product will make so many liters, 200 liters, and there's 22.7 grams of product in the bag. Basically,
Tom,
Tom says 180 gallons.
so this will treat 180 gallons.
Yeah.
I'm working.
So basically, that Apis. There you go.
1 cup for 24 gallons, and it's 100 pounds of sugars for 15 pounds of water. That makes like 24 gallons. So I put a cup for every 100 pounds of sugar. I put a cup in there. If that makes it a little easier.
15 pounds of water is roughly 2 gallons, right?
No,
So
it's 8 pounds. It's 8 pounds per 1 gallon.
15 times 8. All right, it's 120. Okay. Yeah, I was getting back. It's Friday. I'm like fried. I've been in the office all day. That's why
All I can tell you is on mine, I put 20 gallons of water in my tank. I put 250 pounds of sugar in.
Yeah.
And I'm still about 50 pounds shy of true 2 to 1.
Charlie, that's why I got to write notes on all these things, because
I keep everything. I write things out on. I print them out and keep all that stuff on record.
I do the same.
Like, it's just like the Apis Biologic. Here, I got the paper right here. I finally sat down and actually typed it all out. That a tablespoon equals 15 grams. And for 40 gallons of sugar water, you really need about 17. So I go in there and scoop it up. And if it's a little bit heaped up in the center slightly, it's close enough, I had one guy, David, he was asking about it. He wanted to know about, I said, well, you got to do, let's say 5-gallon batches. He was small. And I said, I figured it out. A half a teaspoon is 2.1 grams of Apis to 5 gallons. And which equals out to 18.9, almost 19 liters of water.
Yeah.
And,
and I see the comments that the math don't add up and stuff, but the label on the back, it says 2 teaspoons per gallon, 2 teaspoons per 1 gallon. That's what the label says. But it's not exact. It don't have to be exact.
No, it's
the bees don't complain. They don't care.
It's as long as you're close with it all, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't like doing the math over and over and over and over again. Every time I do it, I don't want to the wheel. That's why I take notes too. Well,
here's my sugar water measurement thing. 1 quart of water equals 2 pounds. 1 gallon of water equals 8 pounds. And for 2 to 1 sugar mix, 3 quarts of water and 10 pounds of sugar equals about 2 gallons. 40 gallons is, like, say, 25 gallons of water, 200 pounds of sugar equals about 41 gallons.
The way I figured it out real easy is, a Walmart 25-pound bag. That's good for 5 gallons. 5 gallons to a 25-pound bag is pretty close to 1-to-1, and then double that for 2-to-1.
Yeah, my thing is I'm looking at once you add the sugar to it, how many gallons you're going to have at the end.
Yes.
And
Yep.
that was more important to me about.
So
I got a 40-gallon tank. I need to know that because of the tank I have.
Correct.
Or let's say I'm getting down to the end of where I don't want to mix a whole lot up, but I need a little bit.
Yep.
But I need to downsize the amount of water, downsize the amount of sugar, and that kind of stuff. Go ahead,
So,
Doug.
I went online and found a calculator, feeding calculator, or syrup calculator, whatever you want to call it.
Is it in Ohio?
I don't know, but it's called Bell Farm.
Yes. Yep.
So you could do it's limited because it only does a 1-to-1 and 2-to-1, but it also does imperial and metric. And
Yes.
you could if you wanted 5 gallons, you just type in 5 gallons and it tells you, well, you need 3 gallons of water and almost 26 pounds of sugar. If you had 100 pounds of sugar on hand, how many gallons does that make? That makes almost 19 and a half gallons. So it works all kinds of ways.
I have that website saved to my phone, and I use it every time. It's great.
Yeah, I do.
I hope they never break that link.
Well, that was like there was a Montgomery County beekeepers in Pennsylvania. They had a queen rearing.
Oh, it's from Ohio. It's not Iowa.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Iowa. It's not Ohio.
Iowa State beekeepers. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it used to be you could plug in the day you grafted, and it would print out the whole thing of when you had to do all these different steps.
Yeah.
And I don't know, somebody dismantled the darn link, and I'm like, darn, that was one of the nicest things out there.
Yeah, that calculator is not downloadable. It's live. You have to click on the website to use the calculator. But it's great. It's awesome. It's just like you said. So if you just wanted to mix 5 gallons or you want 10 gallons at the end, you just punch in 10 gallons of syrup and it'll give you how much sugar you need, how much water you need to make 10 gallons yield.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super simple.
And it's metric too.
Yeah. But I've seen others where it'll do 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, and a couple other intervals. intervals. But this one just does 1-to-1, 2-to-1, which most everybody uses anyway. I don't know. I'll get kind of fancy every once in a while, like this. Well, in August, I'll feed. Let me see if I'm saying it right. I'll feed 1 to 1.5, or something like that, where it's really, really thin to get them stirred up, and it helps build. I built a couple boxes of comb a couple August. It was August a couple years ago, just experimenting with that real thin mixture.
Some light syrup.
Yeah, real light.
So I got a question about that. How do you guys feel? Do you believe in if you feed 1-to-1 early, you can feed them all the way through October and not have to do 2-to-1?
No, I wouldn't do that because you want them to not have to take and get rid of all that extra water in there.
Just feed them 2-to-1 really hard.
DC, that equals 25.17 gallons of syrup. Now that's 1-to-1. So if you wanted 2-to-1, it'd be half of that.
Is there a way to post the link to that?
No, you just Google Bell Farm syrup calculator or something like that.
You say Bell Farm?
Bell Farm. All singular.
It's so useful.
It is. It's really, really useful. It doesn't do that, DC. It'll do regular 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, but it doesn't do 1.7 to 1.
Yeah, it's either 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. Those are the only two choices.
You're gonna have to sharpen your pencil on that one. I can't do that one for you. Again, it's Friday. I'm like half brain dead. I'm so tired.
Yeah, always need more sugar.
Yeah.
Oh, so Charlie, another thing too, you said about that pump, right? The diaphragm gets clogged with sugar. On the that 50-gallon cycler that I used to, I always make sure I run water in that afterwards too. Same reason. You know, those pumps are too expensive for them to get clogged with sugar and tighten up and not work anymore.
Right. There's a sugar calculator. I don't know how.
Harbor Freight is your friend.
So, are you on the Bell Farm calculator?
Yeah, I see it where you have imperial and metric and all that.
So when you scroll down there, the first thing is 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, and then after that, it's imperial and metric.
Oh, I see. You take and you click on it.
Let's just say you had 30 pounds of sugar on hand, and you want to know how many gallons how many gallons of syrup it'll make for whichever one you choose, 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, and it'll tell you.
Yeah, I think I've seen this before. 250 pounds of sugar. It's 15 gallons of water, and you make about 33, 34 gallons.
Yeah.
Yeah, save that to your home screen, and it comes in very handy.
It's handy, yeah.
Yeah, I see Tom over there, Maccabee. He agrees with the 1-to-1 until they stop taking it. I think that's what he's saying.
Right.
Try to save money.
I'm sure it calculates it out and all that stuff, but
once again, DC, it's Friday and I'm brain dead, so I can't do the math on this calculator or in my head right now.
there's the syrup link. It's in the chat right now, guys.
There you go. Click on that and save it to your home page.
100 pounds of sugar. And
I know that Matt here from the Matt Morris Homestead, I know he talked about he did 70. He's fed, I don't know, 75 pounds of sugar or something like that. Hey, Alex. And
Alex.
so anyway, he's got a couple hives. Just figure about 100 pounds of sugar per hive on average.
It's when you start getting into 2-to-1, that's a massive amount of sugar.
Well, I don't know. I sat down and calculated it out, and like you say, what is it, pounds per gallons and weight and all that different stuff. And I got it to the point where this is what my pump will pump, and the bees will, it's close to 2-to-1. So it's 20 grams of water and 250 pounds of sugar. And of course, another thing is, I guess I'm heating it, and maybe it flows better through the pump too.
I bet it does.
Compared to where you're just mixing it with warm water. I know that a lot of guys have made that same mixing machine, and a lot of them try to put hot water in from their hot water tank to help, liquefy the sugar.
Yep.
I have a 55-gallon drum and a trolling motor, and at the bottom, I drilled a hole in it. I think it was a 2-inch hole, and I put a bulkhead on the back of it. I put a 3/4-inch valve, and I don't worry about hot water anymore. And I just, I wire it to a car battery, and I have it on the ground while it's on a piece of wood.
Yeah.
And then I just let it run for a couple hours, and all that sugar dissolves. I don't really worry too much about hot water anymore.
Todd, that's what I'm doing too. I don't have a hot water, I don't have a garage, so I don't have a tub sink that has hot water connected to it, and I don't have that option. So I do the same thing. I just let it run for a couple hours. It dissolves. Takes a little longer, but that ain't gonna happen in the wintertime though.
No.
Well, I wouldn't be feeding liquid sugar water in the wintertime.
Yeah.
I was trying to make 2 to 1 a little late one year. Yeah, I won't do that anymore.
No, that's when you start making sugar bricks, or you start making
Yeah.
or I did one year, I did candy boards where we actually cooked the sugar to a boil.
I do that. That's how I do it.
That's a lot of people say it's kind of dangerous, which it sort of is, but then it's like making hard candy,
Yep.
and it's the temperature, it has to be right on the money there in order for it to do just right.
Yeah, it's got to be a
And,
hard.
I don't know. We did that. I took all day to do all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I just found it to be too much work and all that stuff. And I just went back to for me, it's all about, I don't have to lift any 5-gallon buckets. I don't, and
Yeah.
I just, I feed them up early in the fall, and they should be good to go through the rest of the winter.
And
Yeah,
speaking of 5-gallon buckets, I got to deliver 10 of them tomorrow. That's going to be fun.
Yeah,
Is that honey, Alex?
Yeah, and I'm selling above bulk price. I'm selling, if I was the bulk guy, basically, to a smaller apiary, well, bigger than me, of course, but he said he didn't produce enough, so he wanted 20 buckets. But after he called me, he since he doesn't know me, I'm gonna try first 10, then I'll call you back if I want more. So I just prepared all the buckets, made sure they're all the same level, and yeah, I'm gonna get I checked. I called a bulk supplier and asked for his pail prices, and I just did a little better.
Well, that's
I
good.
asked for $4.23 per pound, and I got offered a place I called for them to buy bulk from me. It's $2.50, so I'm making almost double.
Well, if you don't really want to deal with the public, which I don't think you really do. That's the way
I'd
to
like
go.
to learn, but yeah, you're right. I don't really like it.
Well, as long as you can dump the honey and get some money, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I'm gonna use it to fix my car. Speaking of which, I had evaluated to replace all the remaining brake lines and the muffler, and the prices came up suspiciously high. So again, I did a bit of research. Like for a Malibu, 2002 Chevy Malibu 3.1 liter V6, the price, the company muffler is 159 Canadian, and she says that it's a 2-hour job at roughly $100 an hour, so $350, maybe $450 with taxes. The garage I went to, $850 wanted to charge me to replace the muffler.
That's bullcrap.
Yeah, I'm gonna confront him on Monday when he opens up, and if I sense too much bullshit,
You done the job
I'll
yet?
just cancel my appointment.
Yeah.
Screw him.
I wouldn't even do that. Just don't show up. I don't urge you.
Because this is crazy. It's almost $500 over what it should be paid.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, did they ever find out who knocked those beehives over?
No, there's a lot of kids that used to go to that go to that places. Like I see like quad bikes and regular bikes off. I used to see them. I don't go there anymore.
Yeah.
So my guess is some teenager, and that's with my conspiracy hat on. The farmer himself knocked the hives over.
Oh.
So I move my bees from the fallow strawberry field to the actually used strawberry field. But I doubt it. I seriously doubt it.
Might have been Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Well, I saw quad tracks leading up to the hive, so
no big footprints.
Bigfoot on a 4-wheeler. You never know.
But the other place is really good. The fields are bigger, and there's nothing there. There's there's a school for heavy machinery at the other end of the field. Like there's an abandoned sand quarry where the students practice heavy machinery, and that's about it. So my hives never got bothered. And that apiary is completely done. They're fed, and all I need to do is remove the apivar and give them the blankets, and they'll be done. The basswood apiary, on the other hand, I need to do everything. I got rid of 2 dead hives because they want drone layers, so I dumped all the bees and retrieved the supers. So that's a bit less work to do. But I still have 40-ish boxes to pick up. So that's going to be
How many
fun.
hives you got now, Alex?
30. I was up to 32 because I had 2 extras, lost 2 to drone layers, so 30.
That's normal. You know, you like you say, you're fluctuating up and down all the time. Didn't you say something here recently that you were going to downsize some, or you just staying right there?
Probably. I'm thinking of dropping down to 20. Or if I start earlier next year, because it's the basswood apiary. Like if it didn't rain a lot, but it kept raining at the wrong time, week after week after week.
Yeah.
So I couldn't access the field.
Yeah.
So I was late. I treated. I had to buy some formic, so the treatment would be done in 2 weeks, which will be next Sunday or Monday. Not this week, the week after. So in about 10 days, it's going to be done.
Right.
And that's even later than last year. So if I switch to formic completely, I'll be able to treat in the middle of the flow and be ready to extract much earlier.
Well, is your mite load out of control when you're right in the middle of your honey flow?
No, it's like my bees are pretty resistant. So as long as I treat regularly, they're fine. I've had 0s and 1s for the past 4 years over there.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is I mean, I don't try to never treat while the honey supers are on. I always.
Yeah, but
mean,
formic allows for that. So.
Well, I know it does, but I don't care if it does. I'm not going to put that kind of stuff on my food production area.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
it's the whole.
But I mean, I don't know whether your honey window is a very short window too.
Yeah, in Canada it's much shorter.
So, are you using the buying formic acid yourself?
Yeah, I bought some. I bought 20 packs of formic acid. Treated everything I could with Apivar, like all the singles, because you can't put formic in a single box. They recommend at least 6 supers in a brood chamber.
Orange crush.
Now, are you using Formic Pro or using liquid that you're putting meat pads on?
Pads like the I think it's called Formic Pro. Yeah, like those. They're pre-made in
a wrapper.
In a wrapper. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I have.
Yeah.
And it smells like really strong vinegar. It's horrible.
Can I hold something up to the camera?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you can't.
No. It's the mixture I use for trying to see this right. For
water, 2.5 cups sugar.
Ingredients: 2.5 cups of water, 2.5 cups of sugar, a pinch of lectrin granules, 8 drops of spearmint oil, and 8 drops of lemongrass.
Yeah. So that's what I make. I add that to my sugar bricks when I make them in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
I make a big batch of it. This is a half batch. I got another sheet with a full batch, but it's just doubling everything, right? So 5 cups and 2.5 pounds. But
and that's an additive to your sugar bricks.
Yeah, and it's all it's just all essential oils, and I've been using it for like the past 3 years, and I add it to my sugar bricks, and it works for me. So
Isn't
And
this an emulsifier? Like for
listen, yeah, it's
yeah, so the
emulsifier.
oils dissolve in the sugar easier.
Correct. It's emulsifier. So the oils, when you add it to the water, it breaks it down and emulsifies it together. So it emulsifies it. Yeah. So it just turns into a liquid.
but what are you getting at it? I mean, lemongrass is stimulant for.
No, it's very. Is it lemongrass on there? Did I say that? I don't use. The lemongrass is a stimulant. Just I don't know. What's a lemongrass for? Is that what you asked, Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a that'll promote bees going crazy. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
robbing,
attractant.
but it's in the winter.
Come here.
But it's a winter time, so they're nobody's robbing in the winter.
Okay. Well, I guess it sort of like it tells the bee that the food is there with the smell.
I don't know. I mean, I when I first started out, I had Honeybee Healthy, which has all that kind of stuff in a mix.
Yep.
A liquid, and you add that to your sugar water or whatever, as an additive and stuff. And it got up to where it was $100 and some a gallon, and I said, "All right, I'm done."
That's why I make my own.
And I used to, there was a lot of these remedy things with all kinds of essence of oils, tea tree oil, and all this other stuff. And you spend a lot of money for all that stuff. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't see any positive outcome.
Yeah.
Well, the only known oils to work are lemongrass for attracting the bees and thyme oil for killing the varroa mites.
I did the same.
Unknown.
I did the same thing last year. I started adding apis to my bricks last year too, and was it Tom in Canada? We were talking. I wanted your talks, Charlie, and he's like, "Oh my God, I don't think anyone's ever thought of added apis to bricks, to sugar bricks, in the winter time."
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah. So I mean, I do that sometimes too. But you know what? This is just how I do it, and I've had success. So I'm not telling anybody to do this. I'm just saying what my experience is.
Whatever works for you.
Correct. That's why this beekeeping thing is so awesome. Everybody does it their own way, and there's not a
It's like how
do you
barbecue or smoke your ribs? What do you do? Do you do a dry rub or a wet rub? And then you go from there. Everybody does it differently.
Yep. As long as your bees are alive, I don't care what you're doing, and they're healthy. That's what we're here for, right?
So, Alex, you're going to sell what, 600 pounds of
600 with maybe on 600 more. So that's about $5,000.
You got over 1,200 pounds from last year, or what?
I got about 1,100 last year, and so far I have 6 strawberries and 3 basswood, but there's a lot of basswood left. So I don't know maybe another 15 to 20 pails of basswood honey, maybe less.
Well, turn it into cash so you can get something done financially. Pay things off, get your car fixed, whatever you need to do.
That's a lot of honey.
Well, I'm gonna keep some at least to try and keep on building. Like you said, I don't like dealing with the public, but I need to learn to. So I'm gonna keep some of myself, maybe 3 of each kinds of honey, 3 basswood, 3 strawberries, and try and sell those. But the rest, if I can sell it all at bulk or better, like I'm getting right now, better than bulk, I'll do that. It'll pay my debts. It'll pay the repairs on my cars, and maybe I can try and find a pickup. because
Yeah.
God, that malady was
You're pretty bright, Brad.
Oh, that's funny, Brad.
Funny guy there. Oh, geez. You know what though? It seems like I've been doing it wrong all year. It's just one thing after another. It's just, piled
Yeah.
on.
We're all doing it wrong.
It is what it is.
It's called
But-
learning.
Well, it's just like we were talking about earlier, where I have my Mite treatment program. I found what I do seems to work for me. And other than things I used to do, I've, kept manipulating it with different things. And it's like the Formic Pro. I remember starting out years ago and they had Apis or Mite Away quick strips, and which is the same stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what I was doing with that. I wanted to put the core board in, and they said, open up the front entrance reducer where it's wide open and stuff like that. And we didn't have the chit chats like we got right now, where we can discuss it amongst people who maybe have more experience than what we all do. And so I got kind of scared with that stuff because the bees were, out on the front porch, and not sure what time of year it was when I was doing all that stuff. And now I've kind of got, a little more educated with it and experience with it, and, understanding weather conditions that go with all this kind of different stuff. And that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. So what is that buddy Dan? His favorite saying is, "I'm a first-year beekeeper, 10 years in a row." Right?
Yeah,
I know some people like that, I'll tell you. And I get, it's like, like you say, they're a 2-year beekeeper for the last 10 years. And I'm like, guys,
Yeah.
get out. And the whole thing about beekeeping is education. And it's like I tell new beekeepers coming into my club, it's beekeeping is a science experiment that never quits.
No.
And even though when you get good at it, to kind of read the frames and read the hive, and you kind of get to know what you're going to do for treatments at certain times of the year, and when to put the supers on, and kind of read the environment around your bees. It's like, when you're a beekeeper, you become a botanist, you might say. Oh, there's that tree's a blooming now, which something that you would never pay any attention to.
Oh my God.
Now it's important to you when you see the locust tree, the poplar tree, tallow tree down in the deep south. Alex's magical basswood tree starts to bloom.
I never knew anything about trees until I started getting into beekeeping, and it took me
Same here.
It took me 2 years to understand the cycle where I live.
That's exactly right. And now in your situation, you're more of a pollinator.
Yeah.
And you're understanding, what's best for pollination and how you, I guess, set your hives up too.
Yeah, and I'm still learning. I adopted Brad's 2-way pallets this year, so this will be my first winter.
Well, another person that's good to talk to would be Bohemia Bees, Jason Crook, and he does pollination. He does pollination, and there's a guy, I met him way back when I first started. His name is Oliver. He's up in his 80s now, at least. But he had these trailers where you could probably put 30 hives on, maybe not quite, maybe 20 hives on a trailer on either side, and you can walk down the middle. It's an open trailer, and he had X amount. I think Jason's got 5 or 6 of them trailers now.
Yeah, that's what Jason does. Yeah.
And he was talking, and Oliver was talking about when he was doing it for a living, or at the time, where he's up the middle of the night for so many weeks straight, and sleep during the day, because he would say, okay, if you want the trailer of bees, and they had cucumbers, let's say, and the next set of crop is 2 fields over, you had to take that trailer to some field 5-6 miles down the road, pick up the trailer down there, and then bring it back and put it in the new position in the field area so it pollinates that area of the cucumber fields.
I learned that the hard way this year. I didn't move hives far enough away, and they flew all the forage, all the field bees flew back to the other field where there's no hive there.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was a big lesson for me this year.
Hey, good morning, Bob.
But getting back real quick, with the Hive Alive, why I'm putting it in there with the thymol is for the bee gut. Get them a healthy gut go, before winter starts.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't like mixing a lot of stuff that's unknown.
Yeah.
To me, that's an unknown. Mixing Apis with Hive Alive, that's kind of an unknown for me. So I don't do it.
Well,
Just because I don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But more is not always better, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like Hive Alive. I tried the liquid thing where you add it to the feed, and I don't know. I mean, it's just like Apis. Apis takes 6 months to really show what its potential is come springtime. And
Really?
I don't,
Apis-
maybe.
I only use in the spring. I don't.
Well, what
use
I do is I feed my bees in the fall with sugar water, and I put the Apis biologic in there with it at that point in time. They
I do in
store
the
it.
spring. That's weird.
I never feed in the spring.
What was it designed for? What time of year was it designed to be used?
I don't think it was never really brought that out.
It's all the time feeding. Well, whenever there's an absence of nectar.
I don't know. Some people feed their bees in the springtime. I presume what it was, you fed your bees in the spring thin sugar water to mimic nectar to build your bees up for a quick build up
Yeah.
and all that. Where I never really did that. And I always fed them in the fall to get them through the winter. And that was it. That's the only time I feed. And so I put the Apis in the fall. So they have, instead of having sugar water the way I believe, it turns your sugar water into nectar.
Yes.
It gives the properties of what nectar has. So now they're feeding off of nectar through the winter time. And I think because of that, they're stimulated to really start ramping up earlier. And I tell people, if anybody's fooling with that stuff, you need to be out there putting honey boxes on at the end of March, not April. If you're in my area where the honey season starts.
Yeah.
Now you see, the reason I don't feed that in the fall is because Canadian winters. You don't want stuff in their gut, and it's basically adding
Dysentery.
solids to the sugar water. So you want as pure sugar as you can for long winters, so they don't get their
Dysentery.
guts clogged up.
Yeah, well, see, Alex, down here, we'll get a 48 or 50-degree day
Yeah,
in the
for
middle.
you it makes sense, and then for me
About
it makes
once a
sense
month,
too.
maybe once a month or maybe twice a month through the wintertime, and maybe not so much January, but, and we'll have cleansing flights. Now, where,
Hey, Bob.
where you live and people north or close to your border up in Vermont and places like that, like you say, they'll have 6 months where those bees are not doing anything. They are just inside the hive and that's it. So it's, it's also environment, it's location again, environment. Hey, Brian.
Bob popped in there for a second.
Yep.
For a hot minute.
Yeah, he said he just kind of woke up.
At a late night pee. And then
9:50. He still has like 4 more hours of sleep.
We got to get back in bed.
Get back in bed, Bob. It's going to be a long Saturday.
Yeah. Now you just turned your brain on. And it's going to be spinning for the next few hours.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Richard wants to know, can convert maple syrup into maple honey? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know nothing about that.
I did see a video where somebody had
There you go.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, how you doing,
You
Bob?
have to sleep now. Go to bed.
Man, the just
Go
trying
to
to
bed,
get
dude.
used to the schedule, getting up at 1:30 in the morning and to go to work. So some days when I'm really tired, I go to sleep a little bit early or sleep a little bit harder, and then I wake up and then it's like, oh well, crap. Now what? Am I going to be up until it's time to go to work, or am I going to be able to go back to sleep for a little while? So that's why I got bedhead, but just trying
So
to
do I.
get in.
How you liking it? How you liking the job?
Well,
He hates it.
I have a firm belief that all jobs suck because otherwise they would be called vacation.
They're called jobs, right? Four letter words.
Right. So, I mean, it's all right. I've done the job before. I mean, it's not, I've got more experience than the guy that hired me, right, in the job. So it's just, I'm old and it's a physical job. So it takes a beating on you.
Yeah.
So it's like pulling honey every day of the week. So
hopefully you sleep really good.
Well, you go to sleep, then the wife wakes you up for dinner, then you go to sleep, then you got bodily functions and go to sleep. It's just constant.
Yeah,
But
I know how hard it is. I worked night shift for 4.5 years. Horrible.
But once I get going, I mean, generally I'm done.
That's what I was going to ask.
Days I'm done by 9:30 or 10 in the morning.
Yeah, that's a nice part about it, though, right?
Yeah. So I mean, technically, when spring and all happens, I can get off work, come home, work bees for a few hours, then go to bed. Right.
That might be a pretty sweet schedule in the spring.
So it's I'm hoping. You never know, because I told them I'm very adamant with the bread business. They want you to work 7 days a week, right? You don't deliver bread to the stores on Wednesdays and Sundays, but they want you to go and fill up from the back room. And so I said, look, man, you got the wrong guy. I'm past the 7 day a week thing. Get you a young guy to go out there and straighten it up. But I'm not working 7 days. If that's what you do, we'll go ahead and call this a day now. Oh no, you're good. We'll get somebody. So
yeah, that's right.
but it is what it is. We just do what we can, and I mean, it's $1,000 a week. So
that's not bad.
No, it should be enough to keep things going. So we do what we have to do, right?
Yep.
My wife's like, well, I'm worried because you already have issues with your joints and shoulders and everything else. I'm like, yep, but the light bill don't care about all that.
Actually, you'll tighten up if you stop moving, right?
Yeah. Well, that's true. If I'm working, then I go sit in the truck to use the computer for 10 minutes or so, then it's like,
yeah,
it's killer. But we just do what we have to do to keep things going.
Well, now, are you get to the point where you have your own truck and are you just like a helper to him?
Well, so what you do is you buy distribution rights to distribute the bread and all, right? So the guy that I work for doesn't want to be in the bread business. He just wants the distribution rights. So I'll do everything. It's just like I own around. I was telling Todd the other day, I said, well, it gets to the point to where if you're doing all that, why are you working for somebody else and giving him a cut of all your work when you could buy it yourself? And
is that because he owns the route?
Yeah, he owns the route. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets a cut to basically stay home and do nothing.
Yep.
And
unless you buy his route.
Yeah. So, but I don't have any of the overhead. If I don't show up to work, I don't have to pay the bill on the route. He does. So, right. And he has to get out of bed and go do it. So, So there's that, right? I don't have that lingering in over my head. So we
By the way, Bob, I'm awake when you drive home from work in the mornings, I guess.
yeah, well, you're probably still awake when I get up to go to work from the night
Yeah.
before, like 11 o'clock your time, right? Or 11.
No, actually, yeah, no, I'm sawing logs by then, usually.
But generally I just get up in the morning, take the shower, I'm awake then. It's just dark out, right? So
Yeah.
and once you get to the warehouse, it's weird because you go into like this Walmart Supercenter, it's jet black night outside, right? And then when you leave, it's like the sun's out, and it's like, wait a minute, what happened here?
Yeah. It happens fast.
Oh man, and this company, we got so many products that it just, I mean, we do Sara Lee, Sunbeam, Arnold, Entenmann's, Takis.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a lot of product. If you ever go into a Walmart Supercenter, it's probably, let me see, tomorrow I'll take probably, well, not probably, I know it'll be 14 to 16 stacks of bread. So if it's 14, we'll go on the light side. They get stacked 12 high, 168 trays of bread.
Yeah.
And they each hold 10 loaves. So 168 times, we'll say 12 pounds.
16. Yeah.
144. That ain't right. 144 pounds a stack times 14, right?
Yeah.
It's around 16,000 pounds.
2,000 pounds.
1680 loaves.
Yeah.
That's what Castle Hive's saying.
Now, when you go to the store, are you just packing bread, or you have all them other things in there with you too?
I got to bring all that stuff in. So I'm in Walmart for this morning. I'll probably be in Walmart 3 to 4 hours. It's crazy, but you know, it's half a day. Then get out, drink a drink, go to my next store. Takes about 30 minutes in the next store, and then do paperwork and go home.
Problem is, Bob, you don't get to see a show that early in the morning. Everybody's sleeping. It goes to Walmart, right?
Yeah. Well, you believe it or not, I was surprised when I went in there because with this new Walmart Spark delivery where they deliver your groceries, they have employees there at 4 o'clock in the morning going through the store, pulling items off the shelves to send it out to people. So there's people in there shopping. They're just all employees, right? They're shopping for other people.
Yeah.
So it's
that's just nuts.
It's kind of a nightmare though, because every time, and I told the owner today, because he's been riding with me this week, I told him today, I said, you know, every route that I've ever been on has been a nightmare when it starts. He's like, well, what do you mean? I said, because if it wasn't a nightmare, the guy before me would still be there.
Oh, yes. Yep, exactly.
So you get in there and you come into the back room, there's already like 4 or 6 stacks of bread from the day before that you got to go out and put on the shelf. Then you got to take all the old bread off the shelf, put the stuff you brought out of the back room in. Then you got to drag those 14 stacks you just brought into the floor to stock them up, and then take all the empties out and all the stale bread, put them back in the truck, carry them back to the warehouse. So,
yeah, that guy before you is like, it's like a big FU, right? He's like, I hate my job. Here you go.
Well, to give you an idea, this route, not that this has anything to do with bees at all. I apologize for hijacking the show at the last minute, but it does about $14,000 in sales in bread. I mean, and you think of how much you pay for a loaf of bread, but think about the store pays less than you do, right? So they're paying much. The good thing is, over the years, it's changed from when I first started. You used to have to go in, and if I would have brought 14 stacks of bread in, there would have to be the lady scanning and counting every loaf you brought in. Nowadays, it's all computerized and scan based. So you just roll it in, put it up, roll it out, and you get paid based on what they scan across the register.
Man, I just thinking ahead, like they're gonna have robots doing this job eventually.
Damn, I hope so. As
Well,
long as
now,
I'm
But
the
there's
guy
no-
operating the robot.
so a loaf of bread only stays on the shelf for one day.
No, it every store, every company is different. When I first started the bread business, you would have about 3 days of shelf life. And then now it's more like a week shelf life. From the day you put it into the day you take it out.
Hey Bob, you know what's funny, right? Real quick, I'm sorry to jump on top of you. So I'll buy a loaf of Italian bread, like a Wonder Bread Italian bread, you know, and I'll put it in my bread box. It will last 2 months before it starts getting moldy. But I'll buy a fresh roll from the bakery, and it'll be moldy in 2 days.
That's all them chemicals they put in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. It's well, to give you an idea, if you're going to the I don't have one handy, but if you go to the store and you're buying loaf bread and it happens to be one of those brands that I named earlier, if you look at it, it's got a date on it. Right? The sell by date. But there's a number next to it, like at the front, like it'll have a big 8, then it'll say 20, let's say 23 September 24, right? That 8 is the day it should have been pulled out of the store on the 8th. So if you're looking on the shelf and you want the newest stuff, the whatever the oldest number in the front, like if it was 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 would be the freshest because that's the one going out.
Nice, good tip.
That's the easy way to pull it out. And then another company I worked for used color codes on their ties. So like Wonder and Nature Zone, if you have Nature Zone in your area, they have a code. It's BIGO is what we called it: blue, yellow, green, and orange. And blue was on Monday, yellow is Tuesday, green Thursday, orange on Friday or Saturday. Most people didn't pull bread on Saturday because it'll sell through the weekend and be gone. So
Good stuff.
Little tips.
I make my own bread and it lasts about a week.
Yeah, no preservatives.
And it's still good after a week. I've never had it go moldy because I eat it all.
These things,
Oh, they're the devil.
these have a 4-month code on them. 4 months.
They're dipped in plastic.
Oh, preservatives.
I can honestly say I've never eaten a Taki. My kids love them, not me.
How old
Well,
are your
most
kids,
people-
Jack?
16 and 19.
They,
Okay.
they probably like the Fuego and the Blue Heat. Those are the two. I had some Blue Heat today.
Yeah, my younger girl, she her hands are just orange. I think.
They had an outbreak of appendicitis in this area, and children's hospitals blamed it on like Takis, hot Takis. It would, and Bob, don't tell your boss this. I don't want to get sued, but apparently it would plug up the hole of the appendix inside the intestine, and then that whatever's in the appendix would sit there and start,
I think
ferment.
all things in moderation.
It would explode.
Yeah, but teenagers and moderations don't mix well.
My
these
boss,
were young kids. These were kids that were like 9, 10 years old.
Yeah,
My
they got
boss-
those stupid challenges. How many Takis can you eat?
yeah, my boss is a health guy, right? So he's like, oh, I don't eat any dyes except for, he says, I might do the red one, but the rest of them, the blues, the greens, and all that stuff, he's like, I don't eat any of that stuff.
Well, red and blues come from insects, I think. Cochineal, like it's an insect raised on cacti in Mexico.
Got my computer here, my little handheld scanner, and computer
Bobby,
plugged in.
Bob, you
You
gotta
really
go to
gonna-
bed. You gotta get up in like
I was gonna
3
say,
hours.
are you really going to be able to go back to sleep?
I did this last night and fell asleep for about 2 hours before work, but bed was feeling good though. I ain't gonna lie. I was like,
Go sleep in your truck. That way you're ready to just roll out.
Yeah.
I know I should just go and I can get there anytime as long as the bread's done. I could go and load my truck now and go to the store. But who wants to do that, right? I should do it. I should just go load my truck, drive, and when my boss calls, hey, where are you? Why aren't you at the warehouse? Oh, I'm done.
Yeah. Where are you?
Got to the store. I got to the store at 4 and went ahead and worked it, and
I'm done. My day's over.
yeah, I can go home and catch football.
Why is it 2:00, Bob? Is it because of the bread baking?
Grocery stores start open up at 5. So a
Well,
lot
what
of
I'm
people
saying is,
have
why don't you go in there at 11,
stops.
11 to 7 or something like that?
Well, the reason is because grocery stores get pissed when you come in late. Everybody wants their bread first thing in the morning, right? They don't want to be sold out of bread. So,
Oh my God. Like, if you don't have bread, holy crap.
oh yeah, well, people
And you
get
got to be in there extra early when it's snowing.
it drives me insane. If next time, I'm going to tell you, next time you go to a grocery store, pay attention when you're on the bread aisle. Just if there's people on it, just watch. The old ladies will come and smash every damn loaf of bread, touching it, pushing them back so they can see the date. It's like, really? You can't
Squeeze
just
it like a baby.
Yeah. It's like it's all hard now. All of it's hard.
It's toast now.
Like, don't squeeze the Charmin days.
That's it. It is definitely different from when I started. I was telling one of the guys I ran to God, I'm so old. I ran into a guy at the warehouse, an old guy. And I was like, I know him. And I started talking with him, and we ran routes together in like 1998. He worked for the Merita Bread Company, and I worked for Flowers Foods, and we ran the same route, and we're still both back in the bread business. So the good thing about bread business, if you've ever thought about it, it's a lot of work. But if you've ever thought about it, what other business can you get into that it doesn't matter? If you are dead broke, it's recession proof. If you're dead broke, when you go to the grocery store, you're buying either hams and hot dog buns or bread.
Spam
Right.
and bread.
That's
Yeah.
it. Bread, you're buying it. So
Yeah. I was saying, Darren, to stay away from the bread with the finger hole in it.
oh yeah, that happens a lot. Or hey, if you got a really clean store, you'll see that bottom shelf that has mice holes ate in the bag where mice
yeah.
got into a loaf. I've had that happen. Not at
You
this.
get some extra chocolate sprinkles in with your bread.
Yeah. Or it's interesting. Probably the worst part about it is you have to, because it's pay by scan base, you have to inventory the stores. So you have to go in and scan everything in the store. So when you first start, like I said, it's a nightmare route, and you got stuff in the back room, you got stuff on the shelf, you got stuff coming in, and you have to count it all. And it's kind of crazy. So usually by the dozen, I'm pretty quick, counting stuff by the dozen now. So
Yeah. By the tray, right?
yeah, by the tray. Well, yeah, I try not, if I can't put a whole tray up, I try not to put it out so I can count it easier. But it's my goal, and I don't like backs. I don't like to work the stuff out of the back because it's just extra work. If I order something in and I don't put it up today and I'm putting it out tomorrow, first of all, it's a day older to the customer when it gets to the shelf. Secondly, I've worked twice now. I've touched that bread multiple times.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm putting it on the shelf today, why didn't I just order that bread in today to go out today, right? So make it quicker. But it's is what it is. But that's why I got the computer here, so I can log in and change my orders and stuff. And manipulate those. So
Hmm.
we'll see what happens.
Well, good luck, Bob.
It's definitely not the ideal job, but I put in over 30 applications and
Yeah.
got 2 callbacks. And this guy, believe it or not, I called the old company I used to work for, and he said, well, we don't have anything available right now. And then 2 weeks later, the guy that I called me and says, hey, I got something for you if you're still looking. I said, yeah. When do you want me to come in? He says, oh, it's not for my company, it's for another company.
Right.
So call this guy, right? So he hooked me up with the guy, and that's how I got the job. So
Nice.
just shows you that most of the time when you get a job, you don't even see it online or anywhere else. It's somebody telling you about it.
It's not. It's
Hey,
all
what
by
you know,
connection.
who you know.
What'd you say, Charlie?
I said it isn't what you know, it's who you know.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's true. All right, guys. Well, I think I've held your show up long enough. I apologize
I'm
for
just glad
hijack.
to see you, Bob. You know, it's been a while since Tuesday, but
Well, see, since I don't have to work on Wednesday, Tuesday nights, I can come home and go to sleep in the morning and then get up and do a show. But I do have to work Saturdays, so that is
Well, we're gonna have coffee on Sunday.
maybe I can get up and do one on Sunday. Sunday morning. I'm hoping tomorrow game day and ESPN game day is in town for the South Carolina LSU game. So who knows? Maybe I get to watch a football game tomorrow. It's at noon if I don't fall asleep in the middle of it, but we'll see. So
you'll sell more bread.
yeah, lots of hot dogs and hamburger buns. That's for sure. That's always good news. So for me, it's not even about the money of selling it. It's that I know the shelf's going to be empty and I can fill it back up again easy. I don't have to mess with a bunch of bread to do it. So
yeah, it makes it quicker.
It's easy to fill an empty shelf, but
Empty is good, right? When you go to work.
all I need here to have a great week is either a hurricane threat or them to say we might have snow flurries tonight, and everything, boom, gone, blowout, quick. So it'll sell out, sure.
Yeah, I knew a bread guy that he had a
I
route.
sold honey at work this morning. Everybody's like, "Oh, you still doing the bees?" Yeah. Oh, I want some honey. So I loaded up my tester. I loaded up a bunch of extra creamed honeys and some jars. One guy bought some, and then my boss was like, "Yeah, I want 2 jars of creamed honey, the cinnamon." So a little bit of extra money there. And then I've got people calling me wanting me to come out there and bring honey. So that might be Wednesday morning after I get up, run out to Lexington and sell some honey at the car dealership. When I go to the car dealership, I usually sell $100+ worth to drive out there.
Nice.
So
every little bit helps.
Yep, just nickel and diming it, keeping the wheels rolling.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, I'm gonna hop off. I appreciate all of you. I'm sorry I haven't been available for everybody's stream. I try to at least put a chat in when I can. So not trying to stay away.
You'll figure out your schedule soon enough.
Oh yeah. Oh, back in the day, I used to get up like this, do something, and then just stay up and go to work. Right. When I was younger. Now it doesn't work as well.
No.
But used to. Anyway, guys, y'all have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Good to see you.
Guys.
See you, Bob.
Bye.
Charlie, somebody was asking about hot honey over there. And I don't do any hot honey yet. Do you guys do any hot honey? And you see that there's
last year
a bigger market for it, or no, less market?
I only made like 12 bottles, and it sold pretty well, if I remember right.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah. How do you do it? I don't
do it. I don't do it, but Bob does, and he says it goes fast. And I have friends over here that do it, and it goes out quick.
I haven't wanted to experiment because I don't want to eat it if it doesn't sell. It's my issue. I don't want to I don't want to hold on to it.
Make a
Yeah.
small batch at first. Simple. Make
And-
enough for 6 or 12 bottles. See how fast it sells.
It's
Then
just
make
an
up your mind.
just an infusion, though, right? Just put a
Yeah,
jalapeno
what
in
I
there.
did is I think there were ghost peppers or maybe habanero. I'm
Hey.
not sure. It's been a year.
Hey, Brian.
Look
What's
what the
that?
cat drug in.
About 3 peppers per bottle.
3 peppers per.
Yeah,
per
it was strong. You
pound?
might want to do less. Maybe 1,
Yeah.
maybe 2. I can't tell you more than that.
Does anybody have any ratios that they experiment with or they know that works?
Hot honey?
Yeah,
Hang on 1 second.
Brian, glad to join. You know all about it, right?
Hot honey.
Yes. Okay.
I didn't use peppers with this. I used the dried, so like the crushed red pepper,
The flavor-
and
Like the ones you put on pizza?
yep, and ghost pepper.
Okay.
So I got the dried ghost pepper, and everything that I saw, it was like for it was all by cups. So it was like a certain tablespoon per cup of honey. The ratio that I figured out that I did this, and everybody that's tried it so far has said it's killer, was I did 16 cups of honey, and then I used 24 tablespoons of crushed red pepper and 4 tablespoons of ghost pepper. And it turns out really good. Like, it's a process. So what I did with this was I heated the honey to like 105. Like, I've got the it's a meat thermometer is all I used, and I kept it in the honey. That way I watched it. So right when it broke about 105, I would
Is that dehydrated ghost peppers or habanero?
yeah, I mean, you could do that, just crush it all up. But once my honey hit like 105, then I put literally it was 28 tablespoons total of crushed pepper.
Yeah.
And I stirred it literally nonstop for like 10 minutes. And then I strained it. And everybody has said, like, my brother was buying, what's that nationwide stuff? Mike's.
Yeah,
Mike's
Mike's hot honey.
My
Yeah.
brother was buying that, and he said, as long as I have this, he said, like, the flavor, it's weird because the honey picks up that capsaicin, and like it'll be hot for like 30 seconds and then it's just gone. It's so
And
weird.
It's just sweet after that.
Yep.
And the way I did it was just mix it in my creamed honey when I was making it. I sliced those whole peppers. I just cut them. I have food scissors, so I cut them in really small pieces. Dumped them in the creamed honey and mixed
Did
it.
the cream honey set or did it separate?
It didn't separate. It kept suspended in it.
See how there's the like little flakes in that?
Yeah.
So after I strained it, there were still like little teeny flakes, and it's good. I mean, it you can play with the ratios, at least with the dried stuff. I didn't have any peppers like, Alex and others use the peppers and do it that way. And dried stuff, you can buy that anywhere. You can go to the grocery store and get the pepper seeds. Now, I was talking to a couple guys at the market, and like one guy was telling me about what the heck pepper, Tabascos, or it was something that like he was this like herbalist type guy, and he said the only reason why he wouldn't use this is he said like the ghost peppers don't fall into like his like diet, like this herbal thing he was explaining to me.
Oh man,
And I was just like, I said, well,
he's one of those guys.
yeah, I was like, I can't help
Yeah.
you with that, you know.
Yeah,
That's about as the bad guy. A guy coming here and he said, I said, I got honey, and he wouldn't eat it because you took it from an animal or something like that. You know, like,
oh, you have chickens on your
Next
farm?
time
with
somebody
bees?
tells you something like that,
it had, or
please
did it have a
don't-
face or something? You know, something of that nature. I don't know what. I'm like,
You know-
what?
You know,
I don't need anything that has a face on it. Yeah.
That's what I envision to do
Crazy.
hot honey, and I might do it. Is chop up, go to the store, get a whole bunch of jalapenos and some serranos, chop them up into the little circle things that you see like on pizzas, but put them inside a cheesecloth bag, tie it off, dump it in a 5-gallon bucket, let it get all happy in there for I don't know however long. Then pull the bag out, let it drain, and then go from there with the hot honey. Bottle it if it's okay, but then also take the peppers in there and bottle those peppers, and then they become candied peppers.
Yes, I believe that. But
People-
Todd, doesn't it? There's got to be some kind of heating goes on to transfer the hotness from the pepper right to the honey.
No, like I said, my honey was creamed. I just mixed it and it got pretty hot.
Just from touching it. Huh?
My oldest daughter's boyfriend is a chef, so he's going to help me with this, and he knows all of that stuff. And
Yeah, I make.
but
some-
I do know this from cooking. When I chop up jalapenos, there's two things you don't want to do. One, you don't want to pick your nose, and two, you don't want to rub your eye. Ask me how I know.
Well, Todd, I'm thinking there's a number 3 also. You don't want to scratch certain parts of your.
But that's a given.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I don't cook naked, Brian. So
Well,
Well, I do know that Brian from Flower Street now he does the hot stuff, but he
Don't go
He lets
scratch your balls.
I'll say he lets it marinate, to where he kind of extracts the juices out of it.
yeah.
But it's a very long process.
Like
from what I gather.
this, for how easy this was, really, like, because you can buy dried stuff any time of year.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's, you figure like it probably took me 10 minutes to heat it, because I went real slow. I didn't want to scorch it. And then 10 minutes of soaking. And then it took me, probably 10 minutes to strain it just to get all the seeds out of it. So it's like a half an hour process. And I mean, that's with 16 cups. You could take it up. If you did a whole bucket, if you had a larger stock pot, I mean, you could do some volume. And it would probably take like the heating. Well, I mean, it would take you a little bit more, but you figure for me to do, I did, what did I do? 42 of the half pounders.
A warming blanket takes about 8 hours to heat up a 5-gallon pail.
Okay. I mean, that would be a thing to do too, is put that warming blanket on it and preheat it overnight. And then just,
Brian, so you said, I wrote down your recipe where you're talking about it, but if the 4 tablespoons of ghost pepper, how's the ghost pepper come? Is fresh ghost pepper or?
No, it's just like the crushed red pepper. It's
crushed,
dried. And
dried.
And I'm telling you, like when I opened up the container that I got, you do not want to sniff that stuff.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
dried ghost peppers.
Yeah, it's potent. I mean, you just like, I took one little teeny little sniff just to see, hey, what is this? It's just, it's like an immediate, yeah. Your sinuses are
right up, right?
Yeah, yeah,
super wasabi.
yeah. It's good though. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, wasabi doesn't last long, thankfully, because
no, that's quick too. So maybe it's like that. Does it hit you hard like wasabi, and then it goes away right away?
No, I mean, like the heat in this figure like 10 or 15 seconds, because it was funny. The last market I did, it was funny watching people those that had tasted hot honey before, they knew, and I would give them a taste.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like 10, 15 seconds. And then this one lady, she hadn't had any hot honey before, and she tried it. Oh my God. She was standing there and she's like, then she went, oh shit. I was dying. And I told her, I said, just wait. And as soon
It
as
gets better.
it just like 30 seconds after that, it was just like gone. And she was just like, wow.
Thank you, sir. Can I have another?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good to know. This is a good starting point. And maybe just add it to my to the table.
Yeah, and like, see, from a lot of the stuff that I saw, and I'm new to all this stuff too. This is just the recipe that I came up with. A lot of people, they said if you use peppers that were not dehydrated, they said just watch your moisture.
Yeah.
That can be a problem if you add too much moisture.
Yep. So that's why I stuck with dried.
Yeah,
I thought, well, it eliminates me having to worry about any fermentation.
Yeah.
And you could always, like, if you want, like, for decorative look or whatever, you could always get like dried, peppers and slip one of them bad boys down in there too. Exactly. Just like what Alex has, and just toss the whole pepper in there. And it just kind of adds that look.
That's what I was wondering, because when I cook and I make sauce, I'll throw some cherry peppers in there, quarter them up. But it's the heating that that removes the essence of the pepper, the hot, and depends on how long you cook that for. It gets hotter and hotter the longer you cook it.
Right.
So I was wondering, how does it work if you just put it in honey? It's just sitting there.
The longer it stays, the hotter it gets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the honey is picking up that capsaicin.
So if you don't sell your hot honey this year, and
it's going to be
over
really hot
next, it's going to be Dragon's Fire next year.
Yeah, I'm hoping and I only did 42. So I just thought, well, let me see how it does. And half of it sold at the market I did. So I've only got, around 20 of these left. I gave one to my brother, and I have one for a sampler. I pinged the booth that was next to me at the last market I did. This lady was telling me about just like some other local food trucks and that. And she told me the name of this one, and I just today got around to it, and I sent him a message, and the guy sent me right back. He said, let's work out a deal. I'd love to have hot honey in my truck.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I'm hoping that I can get like a pizza shop and like a couple food trucks to carry it, because, that'll, with the food truck that I reached out to, he's around, I live around the Youngstown area in Northeast Ohio. This guy's all over Akron, Canton area. He's around Youngstown. He's all over Northeast Ohio. So I thought if I can get it in a truck like that, where he's literally everywhere, then people will see this and it might drive some sales. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what? Somebody was comment, do you have to put all the ingredients on your label? Do you have the ingredients label? Do you have to do that?
Yeah, I have it right on here. And it goes in order. So I've got the local honey, and then the pepper flakes on here. You got to have the ounce, the gram, and then by Ohio law, you have to have that statement there also. This product is home produced.
Oh, home produced. Wow. Okay.
So that's what I'm going to do, is make that into stickers and stick them on there somewhere, so I don't have to put it on my label.
That's what I did. Yep. Yeah, I got that there. I've got my ingredient back there. So there's on each of these bottles. 3 stickers.
Did you have to modify the ingredients label? Because I know they have like generic, labels that is only carbohydrates and sugar, but
Yeah.
you have to add that.
Because I filtered it out, like I didn't find anywhere where I had to modify it. So I just have the generic. It's just a
nice.
generic, and like on my nutrition label, I got the true generic ones, like where it's not for half pound, 1 pound, whatever. It's just truly generic. It just says honey.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I've got right there.
Local honey and hot pepper flakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
you added you put that on there before your labels are produced. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I know how Ohio does it. As long as 75% of this is my honey, I'm covered under cottage law.
You have cottage food laws there too.
And if you look at, I mean, like for the small, minute bits of pepper that are in there, there's probably 99% of this is my honey.
No, and that's how you get around the infusion. It's not infused, so it doesn't fall under the cottage law.
Look into that labeling a little bit more for allergy reasons. Yeah. I wonder, yeah. Like I looked up, Tom, I looked up, and the only thing that Ohio had was for that statement. This product is home produced. That's all that it said is required, is a statement that's that right there.
Wow.
So
I can see them pushing that label out.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, if people buy hot honey and they're allergic to peppers, then I would tell them there's probably something else wrong if they're buying hot honey and they're allergic to peppers.
I see a lot of pizza parlors are using hot honey on their pizza around by me. So that's a good market too.
I last year I made a peanut butter cream honey, and I had a lady that came up and she wanted to try it. So she gets a little scoop off one of the little spoons, puts it in her mouth, and she's like, "Oh, too bad I'm allergic to peanut butter." And I'm like, "What? What are you doing?" I'm like,
wow.
Oh, man. So I stopped doing peanut butter cream honey because I don't want to even go there.
Yeah.
I can see that being because peanut butter is like the most popular.
Yeah.
Like
I couldn't believe she said that to me.
Especially around Halloween.
Wow.
Like, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
I tried.
Was she joking or serious?
No, she was serious.
Wow.
I guess. Maybe she was joking. She didn't croak or, she didn't fall down by the time she left the farmer's market. So
not right there. Not right there in front of you.
She wasn't itching or anything. So,
She went
tried,
to the pickle guy next door.
I tried reaching out to a couple pizza places about this stuff. My area, like around Youngstown, Ohio, there are pizza shops everywhere. And it's not like Pizza Hut and that kind of stuff. It's their family-run pizza businesses that have been here for, some of them have been around here for 100 years. Youngstown is like well known for pizza. And like everyone, they're like nobody has heard of it around here. And I'm like, you guys need to crawl out from under the rock where you're at. And, but like one shop, they were like, hot honey. I said, do you have the internet? And they were like, yeah. And I said, just go on Google. I said, Google. Yeah. I said, Google it.
Yeah. I went to a pizza place by my house, and I thought it was just it was like a chicken and roasted pepper pizza, with some shiny drizzle on it. I thought it was like some some balsamic vinegar, right? And then I bit into it. And I'm like, oh, it's a little spicy. And then I asked them, I'm like, is this hot honey on here? And they're like, yes, it is. I'm like, oh, I'm a beekeeper.
Wow.
Let's talk.
Nice. Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. This is a new project for me in the last 3 weeks. So
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I think the pizza thing is definitely an outlet, at least by
Yeah.
me. That's for sure.
yeah, if I can get a couple food trucks,
Yeah.
that'd be nice. So who knows? You know.
Yeah. I was interested in how much. I'm gonna have to experiment on that.
Yeah. You know, and I don't know, like, how much do you guys like anything like this specialty wise? Like, this is a half-pound jar.
That's an 8 ounce. What do you got
8
there?
ounce. Yep. Yeah. How much does this stuff sell for around you guys?
Ooh, it's all over the map for me.
Yeah. Because I have it at 10 and like.
So I'd say the lower end by me, the lower end is 10, the high end is 18.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
I would never ever sell a jar of honey for $18 myself.
Yeah.
Never. But there are people who do.
Yeah. And people bought it, you know, those that knew about it, they bought it. They were like, oh, you know, I told them the price and they were like, they didn't hesitate. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, well.
Well, guys, I'm going to go because it's 7:30 and my stomach is growling with all this kind of foodish talk and stuff, you know, food trucks.
He's going to go cook naked.
No, I don't have to. Tonight's not a cook night. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday.
With some hot
It's
honey.
leftover night. Yeah. The life of a single guy. Oh, well.
Hey, Todd, I'm there with you.
All
Have a good night,
right,
Todd.
guys, have a
Thanks
good
for
one.
coming on. Thanks
Have
for
a good
coming
night,
on.
guys.
Talk to you guys later.
All right.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna cut out soon too.
Yeah, it's about time to shut the show
They're
down.
all leaving.
Sal's the bees, Brian.
We've been here for almost 3 hours.
2.5.
Yeah.
2.5.
I was trying to watch some of your video today, Brian. You got
They're doing better. Earlier in the year was utterly lousy. But they're doing good now. I mean, I've got sheets of brood in a few of them that, I mean, you would think that it was May. I mean, there's the entire frame. They're just laid up. So, but we've got
hungry this winter.
Yeah, we've got 2 more weeks yet where we're going to be in the 80s. And I'm just like, I was looking at the forecast and I'm like, you know, we're going to be into the 3rd week of September and it's going to be 84 degrees. So, and then going into, I looked at like the extended forecast. We're not going down into the 70s until it's like the 25th or 26th or something.
now these past 2 weeks. Last week in the mornings, it was in the 70s and 60s at night and stuff like that. I put Formic Pro on, starting Labor Day, and this week now we're right on the high 70s, 80s. You know, but it's ready.
Yeah.
It's done. It's ready to come out.
Yeah, we couldn't use it here because like we've got tomorrow. I think it's going to be like 87 here.
Yeah, you don't do that.
So
I wanted to use April Guard earlier, but it's no way. You know, the humidity, the heat was like 105.
Yeah.
A few weeks in there is like 105. You know, several days a week.
Yeah. No, the bees they're good. I got to get over there this weekend, and somebody actually put a comment on my video, and they actually read my mind because I still have excluders on all of my colonies, and even like the ones that I'm not putting supers on, like I've got a deep and a medium, so they're in a story and a half. And when I go over this weekend, I'm gonna pull the excluders off of all of them but two. There's two colonies that I'm gonna try and get just
Are you still pulling honey? Is that why you got them on?
well. We've got our goldenrod right now is going nuts.
So you actually get a flow.
Yeah. We have a little patch of goldenrod out by our wood pile in the yard, and it's like there's like 10 stalks of goldenrod, and I leave it just because I always watch that when it comes up. That way I can kind of know what it's doing. And when I was out in the yard today with the pup, I was looking, and literally on those, it's just a little grouping. There was probably 15 bees on it. So I thought, bingo. So, but yeah, I'm going to try and pull just a little bit of fall honey. But when I go over for the other ones, like their excluders are coming off, I'm probably going to put shims on some of them just to get them ready. So wrap them up, get them moving towards the end of the year. So, and then hopefully they live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean there.
Yeah.
You got to get your queens all straightened out.
Yeah, I've got two that are, and they're in my larger colonies that are going through the motions. One of them, I saw a couple eggs. So when I go back over and check it, I'll know. But another one had cells, and the only reason why I left it and didn't combine over a colony is just because we've got 2 weeks in the 80s yet. So, and I had drone brood. Like in my larger colonies, I opened it up, and I mean, there were 4-inch, 5-inch round patterns of drone brood. And I'm just like, do you girls think it's May? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I've had some drone brood.
Yeah. So, but we'll see. I mean, it's good. I like where they're sitting at. So,
yeah, I don't know. Everything's doing pretty good for me right now, as far as I can tell.
That's
good
good.
population and all that stuff, and but it's winding down.
Yeah.
And all that. So
yeah,
got 2 mite treatments done now. Next thing is feeding, and then maybe do some OA out through the winter time, a couple times a month.
Yeah.
And after that, that's pretty much it. And then back to springtime again.
Yep.
And all that. So
it's like rinse and repeat. That's all.
Hey, Randy. Randy, you're just about ready to shut the situation down here.
Hey, Randy.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it works. Hopefully next spring will be a better spring than I had this year with fresh queens and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna try requeening much earlier in the year next year in the season. I tried it too late this year, and it worked very well. I was successful, but
what month did you do that, Jack?
I requeened in June. Well, I not requeened. You make queens. I'm at a loss of words.
Were you grafting?
I was grafting. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So I grafted in actually it might have been July, June. Yeah, June, late June, and I had a really
you're I mean, from what they tell me, you're a little late on that.
Yeah. So I was actually trying to adopt Tom's methodology right after the summer solstice to to graft and requeen everybody, and it was I had about 50 out of 60 takes, and then I'm like, what do I do? It was kind of a test, and it worked, and now I'm like, well, what do I do now with all these queens, these virgins?
Yeah, I'm going back to grafting this coming spring, and my situation is all right. This year, come into spring, I had queen failure due to age, more or less, as far as I'm concerned. So I bought queens, requeened, got through the, pulled a rabbit out of my hat and got 1,000 pounds of honey this year.
Yep.
And they're good supposedly for next honey season. And I want to graft. And I think I'm sitting here thinking, okay, how do I balance the timeline here?
It's hard.
The end of June is when the honey season normally is over. Now this year it went all through July.
Yep, it did.
So do you requeen those queens in the middle of June, or late, or wait till the end of June? You have a queen up and ready in a mating box.
Yeah.
And then do you pull the old queen out and try to get them to take it? Because I had a queen here. I had a hive issue. She wasn't laying. I pinched her, put a new queen in. She laid up 4 frames of brood, and then they killed her. And it's like, it's a dead out.
So next year, I think I'm going to make a whole bunch. Well, this winter, I think I'm going to make a whole bunch of 2-frame mating nukes, and that's what I'm going to use next year. And I'm going to sacrifice probably one or 2 production colonies, and just make them into, just graft from them. So that's.
Well, you don't have to sacrifice them to graft. Unless
No,
you're
right.
making pull and brood out of them to supply 2-frame mating boxes.
No, I'm not going to do that. But I get too focused. So once the honey flow is on, I'm like, oh, it's honey flow, right? And I don't want to do too much testing. But then once it slows down, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to do some experiments. And I'm just trying to fine tune my the way do I.
Well, it's like there's some other people close by me and us did a clubs where, by the 15th of April, it's still cold then.
Yeah.
Really, it's May, June, and maybe into July. But then it's like I talked to some of the older beekeepers, they say about queen acceptance is more so in the springtime is when you have your higher acceptance rates. And
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, well, that means if I go, this queen I got in there now is going through this winter, going through next summer. Hopefully she does a great job for me for honey production. And then I let her go through the next winter, and then I have to requeen that springtime. I don't know whether that, I might wind up with a bunch of dead outs. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's one of them situations where I'm going to have to try some of it. Let's say late June, early July, and see whether queen acceptance is good. And that kind of a thing. I mean, when I did these queens that were alive that came through the wintertime, I went out there, pinched them. The queens happened to get here, 5 days later. And then I had to go through them hives frame by frame by frame, scratching all the darn queen cells that they were trying to make, and then put those queens in. Then you have about a 90-some% acceptance rate.
Yeah, I was just doing an experiment just to see if I could do it. Just grafting and see how well I was at grafting. And I had a really high percentage, and then I banked those queens in roller cages, and just put them in a strong hive, and they survived for like 4 weeks. I had nothing to do with them, so
Did you stunt their laying capability?
Oh, they were no good after, like a month later, they were no good. So, all I did was I just wanted to see if I could do it, and I did. So now when I need to do it next year, I know I can. So It was an experiment for me.
David, where are you located at? What state you in?
Requeen in June, right at the end of the honey flow.
Yeah, I just want to know what state he's in.
Yeah, he's got to be on the East Coast, right?
I would think.
Yeah, that's you know what, that's what's great about all of us. You know, it's just, you know, we do different things. We talk to each other, bounce ideas off of each other, and learn. And you know, Brian, you got your channel going on. You know, with your
He's in Missouri.
your three guys. Your
Yeah, with Bruce and Greg.
yeah, with Bruce. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, guys, it's 10 minutes 11. I want to go ahead and shut the show down for tonight. And we went over a little bit longer. Y'all don't have to leave if you don't want. So until next Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, come on. And,
What's next Saturday?
or not next Saturday, next Friday.
Yeah.
Next Saturday's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll hang in there a minute, Charlie.
Huh?
I said I'll hang out for a minute.
Yeah. Well, all right. See y'all later.